Hey.
Kill it, yeah. Oh, man.
Oh,
I know everybody's like, where's a guitar riff?
oh, it's so beautiful. Do they even realize what happened?
Did you?
I'll play it on the outro. They'll
We'll
hear
play
it.
it on the
That's
outro.
fine. All right, can you guys hear us right now in the chat?
Yeah, they can hear us clearing our throats.
Beautiful. Here we go.
Jacking around.
All right, well, let's get this thing started, guys. Welcome to the second ever episode of Access Vegas. We're right here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Something that Rolo and I have been thinking about doing for a long time. I'm really excited to have him out here. So here's what we're going to do, guys. We've got 3 awesome guests here today. Joining us right now, we have the former Miss Nevada. She's right here. It is, hold on, Tiana. I'm going to say it correct. It is Tiana Tua Mohaloa.
Bingo.
That's right. She's former Miss Nevada. She's an accomplished singer, and she is one of the top rank ring girls for Top Rank Boxing. We also have Jamie Lynn. She is a marriage and family therapist, and she was in the September issue of FHM, September 2021 issue of FHM. We also have Stephanie Ann Cook. She is a former Miss Nevada first runner-up twice. She's been on multiple billboards and magazines. You see her all over Las Vegas. She's also a Top Rank ring girl, and we also have a 5-time author.
Yes.
Best-selling author right here. The
International. Yes.
the Godfather of Red Pill, Mr. Rolo Tomasi. Welcome, guys, to Access Vegas. Rolo, how you doing?
Good. Straight off of the MOA talk today. And let me tell you something, man. You sprung that on me because I walked in there. You're like, oh, yeah, it's just a meetup. It's like 20 guys. I walk in there. It's like 100 dudes here.
Yeah.
Like, oh, my God.
Well, I was surprised, too, dude. I live next door. And so today was the first summit for my program, Men of Action, and I didn't expect like 100 dudes to show up. That was pretty amazing. And that was
Thanks for
pretty cool.
coming out, by the way. Everybody who did. That was amazing.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
We had a good talk. I feel like this is an extension of it right now.
What was your impression of the first episode we did?
I thought it was very good. It was a good start. Like anything else, I think a podcast, a show, it goes through an evolution, right? It goes through a maturation process, let's say, before you sort of start hitting on things. But last show we had Jamie Villamore, we had Isabella, we had Amber Lee?
Ambry,
And we had CJ Sparks was on here with us. So, the idea behind this show is we want to sort of at least elevate like sort of the conversation that we, manosphere, red pill, whatever, intersexual dynamics conversation that's going on right now. And I guess the mission charter for this show would be like we want to actually have a dedicated show where we can have these conversations. And it's not just this back and forth and the red meat all the time. It's actually something that's that people can get value out of. So.
Awesome. Jamie, can you describe to people what you do?
What do you do?
Well, I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. So I have my own private practice, and I work with clients. I work with couples. I work with a lot of women. I specialize in narcissistic abuse recovery, but I do it all: anxiety, depression, personality disorders, you name it, I do it. Wow. So, yeah.
Beautiful. Steph, can you describe what you do?
What do you do?
Gosh, guys, I have to follow this. No, I've been modeling since I was 16, and then I've waitressed at all the clubs in Vegas. I've worked for Top Rank Boxing for 7 years, and just kind of all over the place, but mainly modeling, acting.
Beautiful.
Boxing.
Tiana?
What a good question. We hate this question, like on dates, like, so what do you do?
You hate this question. Do you realize what it's like for me?
What do you say?
I still haven't figured it out. I have a podcast and I work at a fund and
Someone asked me yesterday, so what's new? What are you up to? I'm like, okay, well. Yes, probably along the same lines as Steph. Been modeling for 10 plus years professionally. I'm trying to transition from modeling to more personality, TV, film work. So that's kind of where I'm at now.
I hate to
with
say
all
model.
of my experiences.
I hate to say model.
Why is that?
I don't.
Why do you hate to say it? Do you feel like it's a cringe term?
Yeah, the perception of it has like changed over the past couple of years, and now everybody's a model.
Everyone is, yeah.
So I don't really
Everyone's
like to
a rapper
say that.
too, by the way.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm at the point where I'm still trying to figure out what I actually fully want to like pursue. And that's okay. There's no age limit on what, like, you have to decide what you are, but still figuring it out. But the goal is just to make money and
be happy.
Live. be happy, yeah.
Caesar in the live chat, yes, this is truly live. We actually are.
Yes, we are live. For real.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. So,
Not a
what
premiere.
were some of the things that we wanted to talk about?
I was curious to sort of dig into Tiana's pageant history here,
Okay.
because as a lot of people already, now some people know this about me, but my daughter was a pageant girl,
Right.
and so I'm very familiar with the pageant system. And I think it's interesting, like what you were saying here before, is like to say that you are a model is, it's almost like, yeah, it's like standard, you know, what you're saying.
Everybody is.
And so I think that that there is and particularly for women, I think there is not so much a stigma, but like this expectation. I think that that's what you're going to be doing, or that's especially in the Instagram age right now. So it's no longer. Instagram's not, unless you look at my Instagram, but it's no longer for like cute dog pictures and stuff. It's like
food.
as my good friend Jason Hartman has described it, Instagram has become a funnel marketing system for women. And so it's you're curating your look, and you're curating your brand, your personal brand that's on there all the time. And I know that kind of dovetails into the whole pageant thing, because I think that too many people think that the pageant systems, like when I think of pageants, or when people say, oh, it's Miss America, right? It's always some ditzy girl on there trying to answer some question about, like, should we have
What's the
world
capital
peace?
of Nevada?
Yes,
No.
exactly. And
What's
Carson
the capital
Daly.
of
Yeah.
Nevada?
Did you look that
Carson
up?
Daly.
Huh?
Did you look that
I remember
up?
when it happened. I remember when, like, I love Nia Sanchez, but I remember when it happened. She didn't know the capital of Nevada.
Her first runner-up.
Yeah.
Thanks, T.
No, but so I think that I mean, statistically speaking, and just like the things that trending things that happen right now, more women are getting into college. College enrollment for women is, last I checked, it was like 60 or 65% women. And by
You
the
said
way,
the graduation rate was 68%. So it goes up
yeah,
because
you got to
men are
remember,
dropping out.
enrollment is not
Men are dropping out?
Yes.
Yeah.
Enrollment is not graduation. So
No.
I had to really kind of like make a distinction between those two. But I know that you are very well educated. So is that something that's like sort of a disadvantage to you? Do you think that an education is a disadvantage for women in the sexual marketplace right now?
Oh, not at all. Nope, not at all. I think it gives you leverage, and it decreases your dependency. So it actually increases your ability to pick.
So I mean, as far as your selection is concerned, but like as far as like the guys, or like, because one of the most here, maybe this is a really good question for all of you here. One of the most common questions that I'm given by women, particularly amongst your demographic, is, I'm 33 years old, I'm 40 years old, I'm whatever years old, and I can't find a man. Where do I find a good dude? I did everything I was supposed to do. I went to college. I got a career. I'm in modeling. I'm making money right now, and I can't find a guy who is my equal. And the equal being like, he's got to be as educated. He's got to make well, statistically more money than I do. And are you finding that that's like, that's why I asked, is it a limitation? Like education and having followed that path.
I think they measure it wrong. I think a lot of women measure it wrong, and a lot of men measure it wrong, because it's not about equality, actually. And I know that might sound unpopular, but it's really not. What you really want to check for is balance. Because look, if I have a situation like this, right? If I have a woman that makes, let's say she's a breadwinner and she makes 80 grand, okay, and then I got a dude and they're in a relationship and he makes 30, and they want to go 50-50 on the bills, like, that's not going to be equal. It won't be equal. That 50-50 split, that's going to be coming more out of his pocket, that's going to hit him harder. That's not equal. What you want to look for is balance. And look, there's different ways to add value to a relationship that work within that relationship. And that's really what you kind of want to look for. It's not a 50-50 split.
Yeah. Would you guys
I would agree.
align with that?
I would align with that. And I think I was talking about that yesterday with you, Michael. I forgot what we were specifically talking about, but she's so much more eloquent in how she explains it.
You're so sweet.
No, you are. Like, because we only know the experience. You have like the words to put to the experience.
Yeah, I would sound silly.
It's definitely, I think, more of, like, for me, it's made it easier to date when I understand that's, the role.
Yeah. Well, the value. You have value.
Yeah,
Yes.
the value of, each individual and what they bring to the table. And every situation is different. So, yeah, I agree with that.
Because of one of the, I guess, the popular schools of thought here is that when women get into this sort of career path, and I just had this conversation. Well, not a conversation, but I had this sort of back and forth with Jedediah Bila recently. And Jedediah,
Wow.
yes, I know. It's a great name.
love
isn't it? Yeah. She used to be on The View, so
yeah.
she's now at Valuetainment. But we have let's say we have a correspondence right now.
Okay.
And one of the things she was talking about is that we kind of devalue motherhood, and we have been really, I would argue, since really the sexual revolution, since 1965-ish, around there. But it's sort of coming to a head right now, and so it's almost like to be a mother, to be a wife, to follow that path rather than the path that I think all of you have already followed here, is in some way less desirable, less attractive, a life path for women. And I don't know if any of you have children. I don't think any of you have children. As far as I
have a
from
dogger.
Your Instagram, yeah.
What'd you say?
I said I have a dogger.
Dogger.
Get it?
Right.
2 dogs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so
That counts.
So there's this.
That does count.
So there's this. I don't want to say stigma, but there's this this expectation, I think, of if you are a mother, or if you are following that path, then you in some way have not lived up to your potential. And so what Jedediah was saying is we shouldn't demonize women for choosing that path, but yet here she is at 40 some odd years old, and she's actually the product of that path. She graduated from Ivy League schools. She was in broadcast communication for a while. She was on The View for a while. Got married at I believe 39 years old and had her first child at 40. And it's well, you have done both of those. So,
Right.
and I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to say, oh, you're a hypocrite. Maybe it's just where you're at right now in your life. But I think it's interesting that we want to have the conversation between sort of we're demonizing this, but why are we also glorifying the other?
But what's so interesting with that in pageants, the USA system, the Miss Universe organization just opened up their rules to allowing married women, pregnant women, having been married before, so divorced women. And we're getting some pushback. Some are, thank you. I'm 26 and I decided to get married and I get to live my dream and still, progress in my career, where it would have ended just because they got married and they made that decision and chose that path.
At a certain age too, and I don't think that was.
But to being a mother and being married, and so, we have pushback, and then there's some. The other half is glorifying it. So it's kind of the same thing. And this is all from women also doing this, because I also have my own thoughts about it. But I can't, what?
You can't hear, number one. Number two, New Horizon, my boy, the guy who's running your chat here.
Yeah.
Let him talk shit. We don't care.
Yeah, please let him go. Yeah,
let him go.
Don't censor him.
Number three,
we want it.
Blue Pill Unplugged. There's the quote here. Ready? Like a woman making 80K would even look at a guy making 30K for anything other than bedroom fun if he was good looking.
So wait, that was a mouthful. So what this person is saying is that a woman wouldn't do that unless he was super attractive.
Hold on. Like a woman making 80K would even look at a guy making 30K for anything other than bedroom fun if he was good looking.
No, that happens all the time. I see it all the time. Now, I understand that that's not going to be widely accepted, but that actually happens all the time. See, somebody's going to look at that, and that's a very superficial way to view something. It's a very superficial way to view a man or a woman, to say oh, I'm only interested in you for your money. Yeah, that's fucking bullshit. I'm
only
sorry.
interested in you because you're beautiful.
Look, is there that? Yeah. Absolutely. But that is actually the minority, not the majority.
So both things are true, right? There's a normal distribution. There's a lot of women who want tall.
I'm not saying that
funny.
It doesn't happen.
Of course. I mean, we live in a city, you guys know girls that are just totally transactional, 100%.
Yeah.
I am dating a man because he's rich. Let's not
Sugar
pretend
baby.
that doesn't happen.
Sugar baby.
Obviously, but by the way, I am actually doing an interview about. I don't know if you guys saw Kelsey Turner. She murdered her sugar daddy, and the Courtney Taylor thing where Courtney Taylor murdered her boyfriend, the OnlyFans model.
Yeah.
I'm doing interviews on both of those subjects, and the thing is one of the problems is it's black pill, right? That's the one where it's just LMS.
Doom pill, yeah, like a nihilism. Yeah.
Okay, so the reality of the situation is, and the best explanation of this is Dr. David Buss's book with Cindy Messing called Why Women Have Sex. There's 237 reasons why women have sex. I've absolutely met women who are sapiosexuals. They are not the majority. They are not the majority. Let me say this one more time. They are not the majority of women are not attracted to me just because I'm smart. They like the fact that I might be smart, but that's not the main reason. There are a lot of women that prefer good-looking men versus not good-looking men, tall men versus short men, but not all of them. And there are some women who specifically, like I have a friend of mine, she specifically looks for men that are not attractive because she doesn't want to compete with other women for them. What I'm saying is it is a normal distribution. If you don't remember what that is, go back to your statistics class and you'll see inside of one standard deviation, you are going to find a lot of women think Chris Hemsworth is attractive, but occasionally you're going to find women that find other things attractive. That's why black pill is not in and of itself correct. It can be correct for one standard deviation, but it's not correct for everyone.
Well, black pill is just sort of like the dregs of the MGTOW movement. Really is what it is. It's like that most extreme end, that bottom end of MGTOW. And really, it's guys who are commiserating about their situation. So nothing is. I can bring on. I mean, we have some very intelligent, very beautiful women on this show right now. People kept saying, "Oh, well, you guys need to get." I thought we weren't going to have ratchet girls on here, and I'm like, okay, we want to. They were saying,
get a little ratchet.
We need to bring we need to bring girls from like Tulsa, Oklahoma. We need somebody from the Midwest. We need just average, regular. I'm like, well, first of all, this is Access Vegas, first of all, and then second
Steph,
of all,
where are you from originally?
Rockford, Illinois.
Yeah, that's right.
Rockford,
And then where are you
Illinois.
from? You're from Reno?
No, I'm from Cali.
From Cali?
Yeah.
Okay. You're from originally?
I was born in Kansas,
You're
y'all.
from Kansas?
Look at that. We ticked all those boxes, guys.
And I'm black. Look at that.
You are black.
I'm black.
All right.
So I mean, you can get. I love it when guys tell me like, oh, well, I want a girl I can carry on a conversation with. I want, and then okay, I deliver that for you, and it's like, well, they have big fake tits, but here's what do you want? And that's when we're talking about the pageant system. I think it goes back to this expectation that girls who go into the pageant system are just all it is about. It's a beauty contest. It's superficial, right? It's nothing but physicality, maybe a little bit of being able to answer some ditzy question, and that's what makes the 6 o'clock news. But there's so much more to it than just that. You have to have a platform. You have to have like sort of social issues. You've got to be educated. It helps if you've survived cancer or something like that as well along the way. I mean, there's
saved a dog from the water before.
and again, yes, we've had a prior to the show, we had the conversation about how I'll say it if you won't. Most pageant systems are scams. So, but they still revolve around the idea that we want to make little girls confident and we want to sort of lift them. That's the message I have taken away from years and years of pageants, is that the overarching message is, well, we want them to feel good about themselves and build up their self-esteem, and we want them to feel like they can do anything they want to do. And it doesn't matter whether they placed or if they didn't place at all. It's just that it's the experience of it. It makes them feel better about themselves.
Well, that's what we tell them if they don't win.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
So for me, I do pageant consulting, / coaching. And when I'm building the bios for some of my clients, it is definitely more than just the superficial reasonings of why you would make a good candidate or like why you would impress the judges. So then it becomes like, how are you answering them? Because how are you rearranging the words? Are you like, is it landing correctly where the energy feels right? So it kind of can be applied to dating or whatever else, outside of the pageant realm, if you're trying to impress someone. So it's really just about how you make a judge feel. At least that's what I tell my clients. Like, make them feel something when you're talking to them. Yeah. So they remember you out of all the rest of the girls that they're meeting.
I think another thing is sort of this undiscovered secret to the pageant system is if you get into the competitive side of the pageant system, it is cutthroat. It is like eye of the tiger. I mean, you have to have a coach, and it's like if you're really going to compete, you're going to follow all of the people that are going to be your competitors in the next time.
The best ones, it's kind of crazy. The best ones up there, when you see them walking on stage, they rehearse and choreograph when they're going to smile, when they're going to drop their smile, when they flip their hair, when they look at which judge and which eye, all of it. So it's very calculated, very calculated.
I don't think people really pick up on that.
I wonder if you go through life the same way. Like, I guess with any of your clients, patients, what do you...
People being calculated?
Well, like how you can kind of, I guess, encourage them to step up their game when it comes to,
Yeah, a little bit, right? Because there's like coaching involved with what I do, absolutely. So you're kind of like looking at things like what works, what doesn't work, and then you want to make like shifts. What I do is a bit more, it's more of like mind and, you know, changing thought patterns and you know, behaviors and there's, there's, you know, more,
There's more.
There's that aspect
I just didn't
of
know
it.
if you had that aspect in it.
Yeah, well, you know, you look at things objectively, right? And you can, I can feel a person's energy when they walk in the room. So I'm sure that you can as well. So that resonates with me when you said that. You know, you can kind of get a sense for what somebody's issues are already. I remember I had a
oh shit. What are our issues?
I remember I had a client just through the email. I was like, I'm not gonna fucking take them. Like, I'm not gonna take them immediately.
Wait,
like,
same.
No, really. I was like, I'm not gonna take this person. And then they popped on the call, and I was like, I'm not taking you. I ended up taking them because I love a challenge. But you know, it ended up being very productive. But you know, one of the things that I said to them, like immediately, I was like, you got a bad attitude. And I was like, you're not that much fun to be around, are you? You know, and I just went right in because, you know, I don't have to take you. I don't have to work with you.
Why are you going at me like that? I thought HIPAA, you couldn't talk shit about me. I'm just kidding.
But yeah, segueing back to what you were saying, yes, you do pick up on energies, and, you know, I do observe things that don't work. I always, you know, there's, you know, take it to that psychological perspective as well, you know, and incorporate that. It's a big part of what I do.
Here we go, guys. Hold on. Mr. Lovett 82. Needing men to make over 30K matches well with vain Vegas beauty.
God, we're still there.
Fake hair, fake boobs, fake personality matches. Needing a man to make over 30K. Rolo's right. That mentality makes sense in Vegas. Making over 30K.
Again, it's not low.
Well, wait,
it's
hold
not
on.
low. We just
like,
said where are you all from? Right?
Yeah, but also, like, what's wrong with that? Like, why are you putting a judgment on that? Like, really? Like, why is that a bad thing?
Well, because when you can't compete, you hate, right? You try to.
Well, exactly, and that's the point
things.
I think that's important to make is that the person's that there's no shame in making over 30K, and there's no shame in making 30K or below.
What do you guys know? What the average income is for the American, just the average American?
Is it like 40? I don't even know.
I believe it's 46 or
46, okay.
or 47 somewhere.
Yeah. Look at me with the stats.
For couples, it was like. For couples, it's like 56,000. I've done this before on Fresh and Fit. And I do it on my own show. We have that sort of this female delusion calculator. We had CJ Sparks. We had CJ Sparks in here talking about how she needed a man, and if you didn't make $5 million, don't even. Oh my God. Don't even give me the call, kind of thing. And well, I wish I would have brought this up then. But like when you bring up, whenever I hear women say, "Oh, that's superficial," that's. I mean, guys, right here, there's the guys in the chat are saying, "Well, it's superficial, it's fake, it's not for real." What is real? What is like who?
Look,
what's the definition of what's genuine?
I will tell you how to view it. I will tell you how to view it. When somebody's really fucking interested in you, it really doesn't matter. Okay, it only matters when there's a lack of interest.
If you were at, so the guy who's making your sandwich at Subway, as long as he's interesting, you're good with it.
Look, like let me add this as well, okay? Because I have to add a caveat to this. Now, I'm going to say attraction. I'm going to use that word and that word specifically. And attraction is not connected to how somebody physically looks. Okay. Now, it's a big part of it. I'm not going to say that that's not important. Everybody wants to date a hot guy, hot girl. You want to be sexually attracted to your partner. Nothing wrong with that. Go ahead. However, that's not the only thing that matters. Now, let's say you typically date somebody that's, that is works out, fit, like whatever, right? And then you meet somebody, and let's say they have more of like a dad bod, but you're attracted to them. You're sexually attracted to them, but it's out of what you would typically date or sleep with. That matters, and you're likely to veer or make the exception because the attraction's there. This does happen. However, okay, when you tend to see people only going for like, I'm only going to date somebody that has this, I'm only going to date somebody that has this, that is because there's a lack of interest. That's because you're not really that into that person. When you're really into somebody, it's not that all those things go out the window and that you want somebody to be careless or you want somebody that doesn't manage their money well, but you're more likely to make those exceptions for somebody that you really, really like. You're more likely to work with them.
So you think it's all about the emotional investment there?
No, I don't think it's all about, well, I think it's about a connection, and that can be a lot of things. A connection is instant. It is something otherworldly. I think it's something that's spiritual, and I think that
we're going there already. Here we go.
Well, look, this is.
Are we doing that now?
We don't have to. Are you? Am I making you guys uncomfortable?
Keep going.
I like to do that.
Keep it up.
No, but my question is like in like men.
He's like, you're getting way off track. Reeling you back in.
Men and women will do exactly the same thing. They'll say like, well, that's superficial. Like, oh, they're fakes, and so therefore I wouldn't want to have anything. It's like sour grapes, right? It's like I wouldn't want to have anything to do with them. I have more respect for myself than to approach a woman like a girl like that, or she only does that because she's damaged, or she has daddy issues, or there's something else that's wrong with her. So it's very easy to sort of nitpick and find things, you know, that prevent you from that. But my question to women as well as men is like, when we talk about like superficiality, what is superficial? What is authentic and what is superficial? And really, it's sort of like on a body.
But
I think it's personal. Yeah.
What makes you authentic? You know, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Okay, so I think it's completely different for each gender.
Yeah.
I am the same. Again, we are equal, but we are different. Neurologically and biologically, we are different. For the simple fact, to start with, I have 17 times as much testosterone as you do.
Here we go.
Starting from that, we're different.
We already know.
Right.
Is that a 500 or something?
Rational male, available on Amazon.
Test.
Not me specifically.
My test is at 500.
Not me specifically. But if my test is at 500, I'd be in deep shit. All right, so here's the thing. What I'm saying before, though, is we are different. So what we find to be superficial is going to be different. Men are going to look at looks more and sooner than women are. Some women, you've met women before that are just into looks. I know some girls that basically 6'5", tattoos, fucking tattoo sleeve and six-pack abs. They'll go home with any dude I've seen. And I know some girls that are not like that at all. They actually are interested in a connection. One thing that really does bother me, though, is the dad bod myth. I believe that women are attracted to men because they have athletic physiques. If there's a dad bod, the dad bod builds comfort. It does not build attraction. I do not believe the dad bod builds I do not, and I will. We can argue about this all you want. I do not believe women are attracted to a dad bod. What I think is women see an attractive man with a dad bod and they're like, this is a guy who will stay at home and help me with the kids. That's what he looks like. He looks like a dude who will take out the trash.
His looks are congruent.
And
with
here's the
what's
reason.
your
Let's bring science into this. What happens tell me when your wife was pregnant. Tell me if this happened to you. What happens to men when women get pregnant? Does anybody know from a scientific standpoint?
They get fat.
They get fat. Well, why? Their body starts
Well, doesn't their estrogen like increase?
Correct.
Right?
Their estrogen levels go up and their prolactin levels go up. Men start
I don't know where I'm pulling out these random facts. Where did that come from?
Men start putting on more body fat because the evolutionary explanations of theory is that there's going to be a lot of sleepless nights with the new baby,
right?
And so they have to put on more body fat. Mm-hmm. Women who, again, there's a different. We've talked about this before. Men need attraction to have sex. Women need attraction and comfort to have sex. Men do not need comfort. When a woman sees a man who has a dad bod, she is recognizing, especially when it's like the dad bod is like a movie star because he already has the attraction. He's famous.
Can I clarify something just briefly here? Because I think I put this is in, I believe it's in my second book. There's a difference between arousal and attraction.
Okay.
So when we say, what are you attracted to in a guy?
Well, see, that's what I was saying earlier.
If I ask, they constantly do this, and I know, God bless you, I love you, Fresh, but the first question out of on Fresh and Fit is always, what do you look for in a guy? Women will always say what they're attracted to in the long term for that guy. They don't go, yeah, he's got to have 26-inch guns, he's got to have a nice ass, he's got to have a V-taper, he's got to have a six-pack abs, he's got to look like a Chippendales mom. They're not going to say that. It's always, well, he's got to be nice, he's got to like puppy dogs, he's got to love his mom, he's got to want kids, he's got to like Disneyland, he's got all that other crap. Anything that sort of that promotes the idea of long-term security is usually what I have defined as attraction, whereas then there's arousal. So what about a guy gets your blood flowing? That's a different question than what is attractive in a guy.
We love a good big dick.
Confidence.
There it is.
Yeah,
whoa, Miss Nevada, what the fuck? Hold on, Miss Nevada.
Wait a minute.
Hold on, Miss Nevada. Wait, what?
Mark that.
What?
Mom, if you're watching, please, just turn it off right now.
Like confidence and romance. I mean, like still like to
Arousal-
go on dates and feel special?
I mean, for me,
and-
it starts with conversation.
I think there's more than just the physical
sure.
for
So-
arousal, but I think it starts at
I think
It
it starts.
does, it does.
starts at the physical look like that, but it's the same with guys as well. Like, you don't know if a person's going to create security or, have good conversation or give
Have
you
a
that
big dick. You
right.
don't know.
You're not going to know right away. But the first thing that you are going to see is, hey, I'm attracted to this person. I would possibly sleep with them. You're going to see that. I think there's a stat that says, women know if they're going to sleep with somebody within the first 3 seconds of meeting them. So, and
I have an addendum
I
to
think
that.
it's 2 minutes.
Do you?
I don't
Okay.
think it's. I think if she knows that she's not. Well,
Look,
he's gonna say,
look
Yeah.
again.
she's not going to sleep with him.
Yeah,
I'm not-
I
I'm
think
not
that
the-
women know that within the first 5 minutes that they're
Okay.
not going to sleep with the
Okay,
guy.
fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. That
Yeah.
sounds pretty accurate to me. So physical attraction it does play a big role, but that's just the leg in the door. That's just it. Like that doesn't sustain any kind of relationship or any kind of permanency. It's
But you
just
don't
it's
get to that. You don't get to that relationship without having the attraction or the
Yeah,
arousal
the
prior
first-
to. that.
well.
Hold on. I think you ladies can get by the fact that you may not find a girl. Not all women. Some women can get by the fact you don't find him perfectly physically attractive. I don't think men can. I think men have to be physically, sexually
I don't think
aroused.
women can either. Now, I think, look, I don't. I do not think that they can. What I see women do all the time is they make an exception for security. The guy's got money, okay? They make an exception for this, but they're not
So, but
satisfied.
she's not attractive. But she's not attractive.
They're not
Right.
satisfied with
She's
that. I see
tolerating it. She's tolerating it.
Men
Yes,
too. I feel like I
yeah.
say that all the time, actually.
Yes,
I mean,
I
grew up-
agree.
Excuse me. I grew up around a huge Mormon community, and I feel like I've seen it. You can just sense it that we're marrying just to get married because that's the religion, that's
That's what
the
we're
culture.
supposed to do.
But I know for a fact he doesn't. That's not who he would choose if he could have his own
Okay,
individual choice.
so
That's a really
here's
good
all right,
point.
ready.
Yeah.
I'm just sorry to be a little visceral here. This is the point of physical attraction to where your penis gets hard. At least she's above that.
It's a boner test.
That's the boner test. Yeah, that's what I'm
The
saying.
boner test.
I feel
Yes.
like it doesn't take much for guys, though,
I was gonna
right?
say, all
I
you
feel
have
like
to do
you
is
could
think
just
about
go
someone
I'm not disagreeing.
All you have to do is think of the next door neighbor. That
I'm not
you think is
disagreeing.
hot.
By the way, we didn't
Hold on.
come up with that term. That's an old
Hold
school
on,
term.
can we also say, like, for the three of you guys are outside of 2 standard deviations of like physical attractiveness for the average American woman. So it's also a little different. Like you could be.
Yeah, you hear that? Bullies in elementary school. I'm cute. Fuck you guys.
Tiana, you could be significantly less attractive and still pass the boner test. Is what I'm saying.
Oh,
Right.
that's so kind.
So
I mean, it's
Thank you so
obvious.
much.
I mean, like, yes.
Just gonna put that in her bio now.
Scale of 1 to 10 on a 7.5.
pass the boner.
But you do not. But you don't get in the door. Like again, like when you're asking women what are you looking for in a guy, it's always long-term security. So really, and we brought this up a million times. That's what hypergamy really is,
Right.
right? I'm sick to death of people saying it's just about like, oh, you got to have money, you got to have
Money.
security, and you got to protect her and provide and be parentally invested. No, there's another side to hypergamy. It's called the alpha fuck side. He's got to look hot. He's got to be the hot guy in the foam cannon party. He's got to be the guy that you want to have sex with that gets your blood pumping. Otherwise, the other side of this is kind of meaningless and it becomes more of a transactional nature as opposed to a validational nature with a guy who's hot enough that you want to be with.
I think that's so important, but I think that a lot of women don't actually follow that path. It's a need that goes neglected and unmet a lot of the time for women, because women will make exceptions more than men will when it comes to physical attraction, because what they're looking, because again, her love need is safety.
Well,
Maybe. I think for the men we encounter here, you're correct. I think for the 28% of men that have had 0 sexual partners in the last year, they will make some serious fucking exceptions for physical attractiveness.
That's true.
Otherwise,
Yes.
trailer parks wouldn't exist.
Women have a higher standard for physical standard for male beauty than men have for women right now. If you don't believe me, just go look at all the niches of porn on Pornhub right now.
So let's talk about this.
Wait, women need a more attractive man?
Yeah, so
Women have a more
10
static,
So listen.
permanent standard for male.
Yeah.
I haven't really.
Yeah.
I didn't discuss this with you guys before. This is kind of what I was trying to get to with the Las Vegas dating thing. So 63% of men on Tinder. I'm sorry. 10% of men on Tinder are getting 63% of the right swipes.
10% of men are
on Tinder. The 10% best looking men on Tinder are getting 63% of the right swipes. The top 20% of men on Tinder are getting something like 85% of the right swipes. Women are saying on Tinder, they find 80% of the men on Tinder to be unattractive, below a 5. They're saying that they find them to be. Now, here's the thing: for women, it's like the top 10% of. It's like the top
4.5%.
43% of women are getting 63% of the right swipe. So it was like men's standard for what a woman is attractive, meaning past the boner test. There's a lot more women that fit in that category.
Yeah,
for women, physical
absolutely.
attractiveness for men, it's very narrow. Now, let's go back to the dad bod
That's
thing.
Tinder. You're clearly on there for.
Well, no, this
Hinge,
is
Bumble,
about-
OkCupid. It's
Okay,
all
But I'm just
Right.
saying,
But it's all the
like,
same.
I'm not
It-
going
it-
on there to like find out this guy's personality. Clearly, you're gonna see their you're seeing their face first.
Guys,
And if you
with
have a choice.
I'm with you. But my point is, they're still saying 80% of the men on there are unattractive, right? That's
so all the
thing.
good-looking guys are getting all the swipes. Yeah, I mean,
But there's few good-looking guys. Is the point I'm trying to say. Whereas with women, that same number is 40% of women. You see what I'm saying?
I can use. Well, actually, it's Dr. David Buss, as a matter of fact, I'm trying. I want to say it's Rob Henderson or maybe it was Steve Stewart Williams. Both were saying, like, they're drawing from the same research, is that when it comes to online dating, which is the way we do dating right now, by the way, it's the number one way that men and women
and it's
meet
the most
right
successful.
now.
It's the most successful way of dating right now.
I want to do
too.
speed
Yes.
dating. How about that?
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Good luck. you
bring that
you
back.
get what you get, and you don't throw a fit. No. But
yeah.
so I mean, there's no arguing that online dating, whether it's Tinder, Hinge, Bumble, whatever it is, even seeking arrangements. The idea is this: is that 80% of guys on online platforms are classified as unattractive.
Yeah,
These are the guys that are never going to. They're the invisibles. I call them the 80%ers, right? When people give me this bullshit about, like, oh, here's the 80-20 rule in the manosphere in Ripple. It's not about 80% of guys or 20% of guys banging 80% of women. Like, get this straight, please. It's 100% of women want the top 20% of guys. And so what happens is those 80% of guys are sort of the undesirables. They're the invisibles. That 20% of guys are not necessarily attractive. They're just not unattractive. So they might do. Of that 20%, only 4.5% of them are hot enough, interesting enough, good looking enough for them to initiate some sort of contact with that guy. 4.5%. So when we talk about the 80-20 rule, I'm really trying to stress for accuracy on these days. But when it comes to physical arousal, as I was saying before, it's that. I mean, that's the statistical break right there. So for a guy to be hot, for a Justin Waller or whatever, like a Mike Sartain for that matter, it's to get that right swipe, to actually be interested enough to initiate contact. He's got to be within the top 4% of at least the available guys that are on Tinder at that time. The other 20%, those are the guys who kind of have to, like, figure it out. Like,
Okay.
they got to get themselves in shape. They got to have some more value added to put them into become acceptable.
So let's just ask some questions just so you guys understand what the number of men that you think that have had zero sexual partners in the last year. What would you guys?
The number of
guessing?
men who have
a
had
percentage,
zero
a percentage of men that have
Percentage
had
of
zero sexual
men.
This is a trick question, so I want to
It's
say
low, 'cause I just watched that other
72%.
podcast.
Oh, it's low?
isn't it?
Oh, I want to say 70%.
70% of men have had zero sexual partners. That's
Oh, this
interesting.
year? I thought you said this year.
In the last year, what percentage of men in the United States have had zero sexual partners?
Oh.
70%.
What do you think, Steph?
Everybody in the chat already knows it.
I don't know.
I love it.
You take a guess. What do you think, Jamie?
I don't know the stats. I know it's low.
Yeah.
I don't know the stats
No,
though.
it's
not a lot.
It's about 30% of men.
Yeah.
It's coming up on a third of men have had zero sexual partners in the last year. And here's the thing. From your experience living here in Las Vegas, does it feel like that? Or does it feel like you are surrounded by dudes who have like 500 body count?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck boys
Only
everywhere.
because it's not like, they have someone on the side or they always, have that go-to
No.
phone call. It's really just because the outreach is there for them to do that.
my point
I think
is
Vegas is a unique kind of pool to pick from.
It
though.
is.
while you may be correct in some instances, what I'm saying is that most men don't have that at all, no matter where they live. And the real reason is a lot of you don't notice them. A lot of you, when I say what percentage of men have had zero sexual partners the last year, you didn't notice the cashier at Walmart, and you didn't notice the guy who gave you your food at Raising Cane's in the drive-thru. You didn't, in your mind, he doesn't even count. So that's why you were just like, well, it must be a low
They're
number.
invisible.
No. But what you're used to is the host who walked you into Zook, right? What you're used to is the incredibly good-looking dude, who's the bartender?
I don't know. I would have noticed those people if I was attracted to them. I would have noticed them if I had been attracted to them physically. Now, if I'm not physically attracted to them, no, I'm not going to notice them. And it's the same for a girl.
Yes, agreed.
Same thing.
So I'm curious, what do you guys think the average height of an American man is?
5'8".
5'8", what do you think?
Close.
I've dated them.
5'9".
5'9", what do you think it is?
I think it's 5'9", right?
5'9".
Yeah.
It is 5'9". It's
Yeah.
interesting because Jamie Villamore came on here and said
Now,
6'2". That's pretty funny.
Now, what is
In her world.
what is the number one height setting filter on dating apps right now?
6'7".
Yes, exactly.
So it actually
Tall.
drops off past 6'6". So it goes. It's really funny. So it'll be once you get above 6'2", it goes up. That's 6'2", 6'3" is the peak, and then it goes down at 6'4", down at 6'5", and down at 6'6", and then it goes down the other way when you get to 6 feet tall. When you get to 5'11", it just plummets from 6 feet to 5'11". Women just do not select for 5'11". Now, you don't have this problem in Europe where they do it in centimeters. This is just.
I'm already having an issue with the percentages you guys are doing.
Like
I can't do
conversion.
centimeters.
What percent? Okay, ready?
I don't know this
What
Math
percent?
is
metric
hard.
system. I don't know.
What percentage of men do you think are over 6 feet tall?
Well,
10%? No? 20?
17.
What do you think?
I don't know the percents. I know it's low.
It's 14%.
Yeah.
It's about 14.5%.
What apps are allowing you to choose?
Height?
I think
Yeah.
they all.
There's some dating
I think
apps
they
that
all
allow
do.
you to choose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard that you have to pay a premium to choose, like, make it very specific.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Also-
it's ranking. It's tournament ranking
God.
on
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, so, like, if you get a choice, I understand why that percentage of the hotties on there are the ones getting chosen. But I don't
usually
think
just
in
want
person,
anybody shorter
if
than me. That's it.
Yeah,
mean, I would notice
that's
someone
generally
in
what the correct
Yeah.
the most common answer is. I just don't want someone shorter than me. That's what women say.
I'm not
yeah.
saying it could not happen.
Yeah.
though. I mean,
how tall are you?
So I'm 5'3".
Would you consider a man who's 5'11" short?
I wouldn't say that they're short. No, I wouldn't say that they're short. Would it be my preference? Like, well, that's a different thing.
Look, I was going to say a lot of my girlfriends who are, because I'm 5'7", so a lot of my girlfriends who are like, 5 feet to 5'4", I'm like, oh my God, I have a friend for you. But he's like, how tall are they? They're like 5'10". No, that's too short for me. But I'm like, if you wear your highest heels, you will still be shorter.
Like that's kind of going, like that's, this is kind of one of those things where it's like you can, like I've always preferred dating very tall men. Okay, that's always been like a thing that I've had personally. But I have dated outside of that because I have been attracted to them. Just genuinely attracted to them.
Tall
And they
personality.
Yeah.
I've met many of those.
I got
And
you gave me a germ of an idea here because
Okay.
like I height is like one of the things that everybody fixates on
Yes,
right now.
yeah.
Because that's usually, I mean, from an evolutionary perspective, that's universally what women select for is a guy that is taller than them, bigger, stronger, whatever. But the height is always one of the unifying factors when it comes to attraction or arousal, for that matter. Now, let me ask you this: you just said, hey, you're 5'3", and you would not consider a guy who's 5'11", maybe not.
No, I
consider,
would. What
but-
I'm saying is that I would actually.
Oh, you would. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but what I tell guys is this: like that, we just said it. The average height of the American male is 5'9" right now. Tom Cruise is like what, 5'7", 5'9", something like
so.
that. Still,
Yeah. 5'9",
found a way around it, found an end run around that height thing. Now, is it the fact that he's taller than you, or is it the fact that he is not as tall as a guy who's 6 foot tall? So is it like, oh, I want to look up to him because he's taller than me, it makes me feel safe, or is the non-attraction or like the hesitation anyways? Is it because he standing amongst other guys who are taller than him, you're gonna go, damn, I could have got a guy who's 6 foot tall.
That's a really good question.
Is it
actually,
comparison? That's what I was wondering.
that's a good question. I haven't actually thought of that for me, the way that I have always viewed it, at least for myself, and the way that I would say probably most women view it is it's that safety thing. That's what it's kind of rooted in. It's that protection, it's that safety, and that security. But that's a really interesting point about how they rank to other men. That is just something that I think a lot of women are highly attracted to, myself included. But this is one of those things where it's like when you're really attracted to somebody, you'll make that exception. It's the same thing that I was saying with the $30,000 dude. Like, and I have dated, like, even though that has been my preference or my history, I have also dated somebody that's, 5'7". you know, and made that exception because there was that attraction there,
personality.
despite the fact that he didn't qualify for
I
the
might
height.
actually need to change my mind on something here, because I tell guys,
Was it because of us?
Oh my God.
Okay, now hear me out though.
Tooting my own horn.
We don't know yet.
Track
We
with
don't
me
know
here.
yet.
Track with me here. I talk to guys who are like, I've got friends and guys that I work with who are Filipino, okay? And they don't tend to be the tallest guys, as you probably know. So they got a guy who's a Filipino, he's like 5'7", and they go, Rolo, I'm doomed. I'm never gonna get laid. I'm never gonna have a wife. I'm never gonna have children. You know, because all the Filipino women want a guy who's like 6 foot tall, right? And so my advice has always been, look for a woman who's 5'6". Look for a woman who is 5'4". Look for the woman that you are. You're a few, like you were saying before. Even in heels, you're still, 2 inches tall or whatever. But maybe that doesn't matter, because it's not necessarily about the guy being taller than you. It's about you being taller than the other dudes that are in the sort of available, like in the global sexual marketplace.
Well, look, I think that can be I think that could be a way to influence perception. I think it can be a way to influence how a woman picks, but that's a very temporary solution as soon as you take him out of that circle, he'll be exposed.
Is selecting a guy based on height, is that superficial?
Yeah, it is.
Well, okay.
Yeah, but it is superficial, but that doesn't mean it's bad. And look, like,
thank you.
There's
okay.
It's superficial. Okay, whatever.
I was feeling a way about myself. I was like, okay.
No. See, look, I get people saying like this kind of shit all the time, and it's like, you know what? There's nothing wrong in wanting what you want. Is it superficial? I put on makeup. Is that superficial? Yeah, whatever. It's not bad.
All right, a couple things. I have a friend of mine. She was sexually assaulted, and she told me afterwards. After that happened, she dates these fucking monsters, specifically for the reason she said. She said, because this happened to me when I was younger. She dates the roided up monsters, like 6'3", 265. She's like, that is the only kind of guy I'm attracted to. If someone put their hands on me, they would kill them. But again, that doesn't mean that's every single girl.
Tall,
exactly.
Well,
I know.
I know. You could go date Uriah Faber, and how tall is he?
Who?
Uriah Faber,
I don't know who
or
that is.
any MMA fighter that's short.
Yeah.
And they're all little.
And they'll kill you.
Yeah,
they're all
for
little
sure.
in our size. If anything, I'm
No,
bigger than most of the fighters I stand next to.
We had a guy in here talk about this. He was like, well, there's no correlation between survivability and height. Correct, but there's also also men are attracted to women for hip to waist ratio and things that they see in cosmetic surgery or breast implants. It's not like we're fooling our evolutionary brains. I agree that they're really, really tough guys that are 5'8". Women are still attracted to men who are taller on average because it's a function of like your evolutionary cave woman brain that still has these signals. And the reality of the situation is most of you ladies are going to date men, and 99% of the time they're not going to have to kill anybody to protect you walking down the street. 100% of the time, if you live here in Vegas, I never see fights here, and that's generally that. If we were back in East Dallas, we'd see fights every day, and I never see fights here in Vegas.
So, do you think environment and where you live?
Of course,
also,
of course, and that was another thing I was saying. Going back to what we were saying before. Whenever I talk to women who live in Las Vegas, and I say things like, "Oh, what you guys said that around the correct," well, you said 70%. A lot of times, women are like, "Well, what's the average?" The average North American male, how many sexual partners do they have in their entire life? And they're like, like 40, 50, 100. And it's like, it's 7. And they're like, how the fuck is it 7? Like every Brock that I met, who's the host over at fucking Omnia in Manhattan, he's been with at least 1,000 women. And like
not every Brock.
Yeah.
Brock.
whatever, Caden or whatever guy that you guys are talking to.
So unique.
And the thing is like, my point is like a lot of times you just don't notice these average men. And she's brought up an example even before I even had to say it. She was like, yeah, because I'm not attracted to them. I don't see them because I'm not attracted to them. And so that actually makes sense. So the problem is, and we haven't gotten to this point yet, but the problem is there's these big group of men that just like are being ignored by pretty women. Do you guys understand?
Yeah, but it's the same. It's the same for women. The thing is,
it's not.
Yes, it is.
It's not because because if it was the same for women, then the number of women that have had zero sexual partners
here's the
in the last year would not be 12% to the 30% of men.
Men are attracted to, women are way more selective, okay?
Of course.
And what actually makes them attractive, okay? So there's a smaller pool for them to pick from, whereas guys, they'll get hard over anything, So like they're like a larger pool for them to pick from, okay? So it's not a balanced it's not a balanced, it's just not balanced, you know? So of course you're going to see that difference in influx. Of course it's going to influence the stats and like how you actually measure that and how that reads, you know? But we're both picking from the same place. A guy isn't going to see a girl that he's not attracted to either. The difference is that guys are just attracted to more women.
But what would you tell the guys that are not the invisible men who are not being seen? What do you tell them? Step up your game? What do you do?
It's incredible that you finally got to the point.
There we go.
You basically just like,
there we are.
You unlocked the question to like $1 billion industry.
Achievement unlocked.
Yes.
So what's the answer?
So he'll give his answer. I'll give mine. So he wrote a book. The book that is the New York Times the best-selling book that he wrote is based on exactly the question that you just asked. My program, Men of Action, is based on exactly the question you just asked. There is some outlet. These men still matter, even if they are 5'7" and Filipino.
Yes,
they still matter, right? So that's the question. And here's the thing: what I found is there are ways, and we see it like men who become extremely charismatic or generate a ton of high status, or the one that I try to use the most or try to teach men the most is pre-selection, which is meaning having a lot of women around you makes other women interested in you. There's scientific proof behind that one. Things like that are other ways to get around the fact that, other ways to get around the idea that, well, I'm just short and therefore I don't have any chance. So the idea, well, according to Black Pill, what I'm saying can't possibly be true. And then I show them my clients, and I have clients that are 5'3" and they're surrounded by beautiful women. And they're like, there must be something wrong here. No, this has got to be fake. And it's not fake. It is true. That's the thing. There are other ways that men, and by the way, this is a massive advantage that men have, is that because there's 237 reasons why women have sex with men, there are all these different avenues, whether it be being incredibly funny, incredibly charismatic, or incredibly rich, or incredibly famous, or incredibly talented, or incredibly muscular, or any of these other outstanding outliers that you have. And the reason, one of the things I always try to bring up is like Kobe and Shaq. They both scored a fucking ton of points, and they did it in two different ways. There is a way for a guy who's 5'7" to turn his sliders, his attributes up, just like on Madden, how you had awareness, speed, acceleration, all these different sliders. Maxing your stats. Again, there's some stats, like for instance, I've seen dudes like pretty blue eyes. Girls are like, oh my God, he's so like, or some women who just like blonde hair, blue eyed dudes. And I'll be in a room with them, and like the girls don't even notice I'm there. There's like, okay, all right, well, in this genetic stat, he is beating me, and there's nothing. I will never be as tall as Shaq, and I will never look like this dude. Okay, I understand that, but that doesn't mean I give up. I still go and I work on these other attributes that I can do. Whether it be like I try to read somewhere between 25 and 60 books a year, and I try to build my business, and I try to rescue animals, and try to show some level of agreeableness and empathy towards my friends. And I tell, for me personally, I'm nothing special, but the biggest advantage
Don't say that about yourself.
The biggest advantage I have, without a doubt, absolutely without a doubt, is the fact that I'm around so many other women that women are attracted to.
How tall are you?
I'm 6'1". Huh?
You're 6'1"?
Yeah, I'm 6'1". I'm around so many other women that.
See if you got lifts.
No, I don't have lifts.
Take your shoes off.
I was gonna say is like a lot of the guys that it was really great. I missed the super chat here, but there's a really great chat here just a minute ago. How height and attraction, women want to be with a guy that other men want to be, and other women want to have sex with. Other find attractive as well. There's a sort of an ego association with the type of guy. You're the kind of girl that can get that kind of guy, right? So. It also comes back to respectability. So I am in a business right now. I'm in the manosphere, and I'm dealing with guys who are 6'1". I'm dealing with guys like Justin Waller, who's like 6'2" or 6'3", something like that. Myron Gaines has got to be 6'2", something. And even Robert Kiyosaki is like 6'1" at the very least. So when I'm 5'11", I'm still above average for the average height of guys. But then there's this sort of like, is there a respectability sense that goes along with a guy who is like much taller? It seems to me that a lot of guys who are like sort of like the movers and the shakers in this industry tend to be 6 foot and above. And so I'm wondering if there's like, if those guys have a real frame of reference to understand what these guys are going through. Now, more to your point here is, what do you tell these guys? It's not just, and by the way, yeah, of course, this is not just a sales pitch for men of action, okay? What this is money, muscles, and game. Those are the 3 areas of men's lives that most of them are deficient in one way, okay? So if it's muscles, if it's like physique, it's, get in the gym, get your fitness on point. Most guys, that's where they start, because 75% of the United States population is overweight. 35% of men are morbidly obese. That's probably number one. That's probably where you're going to probably start to begin with. Then you've got muscle, or money, muscles, and game. So then you get your money on point, your career on point, so that you're making more than $30,000 a year, but maybe not $5 million a year, CJ Sparks.
The top 1% of wage earners in the United States, what number do you think that is? If you guys want to take a guess.
Wage what?
Income that you take home. To get in the top 1%, what is that number, do you think it is?
7 million?
7 million to be in the top 1%. What do you think?
I can't guess.
I have no idea.
It's about 540,000.
Fucking shit. I knew it was going to be lower than that.
So that puts you in the top 1%. That's why when women are like, oh my God, I want to do this guy makes multiple millions a year. I'm like, yeah, I mean, if he lives in Bel Air and he happens to, again, one of the things that happens is that when the 3 of us, the 4 of us are on stage at EDC in the Marquee Sky Deck, we are surrounded by dudes who do make $2 or $3 million a year. And you start getting confused that is the world. And that is not the world.
That's called the apex fallacy.
Yeah, that is. Like one of the problems is when next time I do the Maxim party, I'm going to invite you guys, and we're going to be in the VIP. And in the VIP at the Maxim party, all of those dudes do make $5 million a year. You're going to be sitting around a bunch of fucking NBA small forwards and guys who own publicly traded companies, and you start thinking that is the world, and that is not the world.
But then you have all the women surrounding you and all the hot girls, and then that's what they idealize, and then I want that. This is what I need to be doing.
So has this ever affected you?
So you're part of the problem.
Have you ever seen that happen though? Has that ever affected you?
Yes.
You've seen a guy who had a bunch of girls around him?
Yes. Or even people I've dated, they date me just to attract the other women that are hot.
You're the wing girl.
What was the feeling that you had? You saw a dude and he was around a bunch of other women, and what was the...
I mean, it kind of just sometimes messes with you. I catch myself when that happens.
Yeah.
You go to those events or whatever, and you see all the good-looking men that have the money and the hot girls around them, and you're like, you think about it, but I mean, I'm not one to fall for that. But I'm just saying it can mess with...
Of course.
Certain people that aren't experienced. And
if anything, that's like what I'm not attracted to. I might be in a minority, maybe because we're from here, that I know the guys who are around a lot of women are the ones I'm just not going to be interested in. It's like, I need all the attention, I guess.
Yeah, we are trash.
You are a pageant girl.
We are. Big fucking red flag.
You are a pageant girl. Let's just be honest. Full disclosure.
I'm a brat.
Tiana, will you move closer to her? Because you're moving a little bit off screen. There you go.
Thank you, Michael.
There you go.
There we go.
Beautiful. Move closer.
Then I have a close guy friend that specifically asks me to hang out, to go with him, and we'll like go downtown or whatever and just walk. And he's bringing me just to look for girls.
You're bait.
And has it worked?
I'm part of it.
Has it worked?
He's gotten girls, but people then maybe later on message him or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, how are you friends with Stephanie Cook?" Like, but he usually gets girls.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it could be the right way that he gets girls.
Yeah.
But people ask him and inquire about it, or like he could take photos with me or whatever, and yes, that does work.
Do you charge him for it?
No.
You need to charge a fee.
He's one of my best friends for years,
this.
but I mean, I'm like, all right, whatever. Like, I'll go with you. Shut up.
Yeah.
But even with people I've dated in the past, and they're not good people, but them dating me and bringing me around, and then you see the type of other girls he's clearly has his sights set on, and he's just using me to look.
Bait.
Yeah,
Bait.
he's using me as bait, and then you find out later like he's dating one of those girls, and it's just.
To that.
Are you in a relationship
Oh, sorry.
right now?
Go ahead. Sorry.
Are you
I am
presently single, or are you in a relationship?
Go ahead, girl.
I don't know what I should say, but no,
Say whatever you
I
want.
would say
You can say
no.
it's
I would
complicated.
say no. It's complicated. It's very complicated.
I wanted to go around the table here and ask, like, how, like, what, on a scale of 1 to 10, priority wise, how important is like getting married, finding a guy, and settling down into some sort of domesticity, I guess, like being a wife, being a mother?
That's kind of literally what I was just about to ask, because I'm like, do you think, like, certain men or women, maybe specifically women, think they can get the $5 million, income man? They have that opportunity to do that. At what point do they stop going for that, and they're settling for the guy who wants to just take you to downtown Las Vegas and walk around with you and be, a friend to you first. Is it because you're ready to settle down and become a wife and, do all the domestic things? Or is it, you know what I mean?
I'm going to settle for happiness. I want a soulmate and a partner. And if
Oh
not,
boy, we're doing that already
I know,
too.
but I mean, it's just everything is like feeling and connection. And she said connection. And
You want to fall in love.
Yes, but I mean, and I want someone that's my best friend, and I want safety and trust and loyalty, because I could have had
a dog,
someone that wants kids, but I could have had a billionaire. If I was like that, I would have been married a long time ago and
But
put
you
up with
didn't.
this
So
shit. No, and
why
I've also,
didn't?
and I've also dated bussers that didn't
Was
make
that
any
guy
money.
not going to deliver on what you
I just-
happiness?
I
they
knew
make
that
money if you
I-
ask for a side tip.
Shout out to the Vegas bussers.
No, I
You guys
knew-
wondering who all the waitresses are dating?
Barbacks.
It's the
Shout out
bussers.
to you.
It's the bussers and the barbacks.
I
It's
love
not the
that.
host.
No, this
It's not
was
the
many years
host.
ago.
Bussers are besties.
This was
What do you
many
mean?
years ago. I've grown. I need someone that.
Hey guys, they are bringing up something really interesting in the chat that I bring up often is when I hear a woman say, I don't like those type of guys who have a big social media following or surrounded by a lot of women. It indicates to us that at some point maybe you did. And the other thing is whenever I hear women say, women, I make guys wait this many dates to go out to before I have sex with them, it indicates to us that at some point you didn't make
On the first date?
you did not make one of those guys date. And when I ask women about this honestly, they tend to say, yes, that is the case. And I know you're telling me you were never attracted to any guy like that, right?
I wasn't attracted to anybody with like a high social media.
No, not social media, but but previously, have you ever been attracted to a guy who I'm sure we could come up with a bunch of different.
Well, nowadays
cues
the
here.
influencers and stuff that are.
But
no.
again, you're saying nowadays. Do you see what I'm saying? You're saying nowadays.
Back in the day, you were more attracted
There
to
you
the
go.
life of the party
There
and
you
like
go.
that guy who's the center of attention.
Your priorities
Maybe a
have
little
changed.
bit. It's kind of just like confidence, though. You're attracted to seeing whatever you're perceiving
For
as
sure.
like confidence, but.
I'll 100% say yes, because one time I made a guy wait 90 days and that still didn't work. So I'm like, okay, back to what I was doing before, or just reevaluating actually what am I prioritizing, and what works for me, which.
But I've never been solely about looks. Like
I believe you. Very
can-
few women are solely about looks.
I'm just thinking of someone I dated like years ago, and I was really into MMA, and I dated an MMA fighter that was extremely good looking. But as soon as I hung out with him a couple of times, he was so cocky and so like you could tell there was like some sort of roid rage going on. I was like, I want nothing to do with you ever again. But he was extremely hot and in the UFC at the time. I cut it off. Thank God I did, because he's in prison for life.
Oh, that guy.
Really?
Yes.
You dated him? Oh, that's right. You told me the story.
And he
Criminality is
beat the
is
shit out of
sexy.
his girlfriend.
Chrissy Mack. Yeah.
Yes, that
Yeah.
was many, many, many years ago. But like, I thought he was extremely good looking, but I could pick up on it immediately. And I was like, "There's something wrong with this guy." Like,
Do you understand how women earlier though maybe can't pick up on him? Can't pick up on these
yeah,
things.
but wouldn't that come with
I
like
think they
life
do.
experience?
I think
and-
women do pick up on it actually pretty immediately, but I think that they excuse, minimize, and justify bad behavior.
Okay, there you go, Jamie. Because I was like, how can you say that women pick
I'll
up
tell
on
you
this?
because they do pick up on it, but we don't listen to our gut
Okay, there
a
you
lot
go.
of time.
All
That's
right.
the thing.
Instinct.
Maybe. Okay.
Why do you
I
think
got
We
memes
don't listen
exist?
to it. I think women know right away. Like she had that gut feeling. You got that right away. You listened to it. A lot of women
Thankfully.
don't. They don't do that. They excuse, minimize, and they justify bad behavior for a lot of reasons.
They can't resist the tingles. That's what they just said in the chat. They can't resist the
Well,
tingles.
also maybe I didn't develop a close connection, so I was immediately like out of there.
For sure.
It's harder to, and I've made exceptions for people's bad behavior because I
Sure.
already had a connection with them, and I was like, oh, fuck, I love this person. So
Exactly. And because of those things, you'll excuse, overlook, minimize, justify bad behavior because of, again, many reasons why women do that. If you have an emotional attachment, if you've slept with them, those are all reasons why you excuse, minimize, and justify bad behavior.
That's why I'm all about like women's concept of love is opportunistic. It's he's got to meet all these criteria. And sometimes that criteria changes the older you get. So a woman who's 23 years old is going to have a different, like the subjects, the things on the list don't change. Just the order of them changes as you, from 10 years from 23 to 33, let's say. So, I mean, in my book, I'm known for this. It's there's the hoe phase, right? There's the 18 to 28-year-old version of you who dates the MMA fighter, right? The guy, the hot guy in the foam cannon party, the guy who's the fun, as Sheryl Sandberg said, the bad boys, the bad for you guys, the hustlers and Tinder swindler. Date that guy, right? But then when you get to be right around 29, 30, 31, that's what I peg as the epiphany phase. And that's when women say, okay, I'm done with my journey of self-discovery. And now I want to settle down and find a guy who really, is with me for the long term. And I want to fall in love and I want to be happy. And I have all in those criteria. Maybe it's not looks first. Looks is like second or third, but he's got to be dependable. He's got to be loyal. He's got to like, he's got to like dogs.
What is a hoe phase? What qualifies? Because I know a lot of women that are in very monogamous relationships never had a hoe phase. What actually is a hoe phase?
18 to 28 years old.
But what qualifies it as a hoe phase? Because
it's let's be promiscuous.
So what does that actually look like? Like, what's the body count on that? Does that mean she sleeps with somebody on the first date? Does that mean like more than 6 a year, or
more
like
than 6? Well, okay. So I've done these shows with Myron and Fresh.
Because I'm just curious, like what actually is a hoe phase, and would the same rules apply to a guy?
Hell no, that wouldn't apply to a guy.
All right, now stop.
Hell no,
That's
woman.
really
Hold
the
on,
question.
wait. Stop.
That's not even a question.
Stop in your tracks
That's
right now.
not fair.
I'm gonna call out something you just
yeah,
did.
it's not fair.
And you've been doing this entire conversation. Every time we bring out a point about like a hoe phase for women, it's like, well, what about guys? Okay, stop. You need to dissociate yourself from like, okay, men and women are different. So the idea that what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If there's like, if it's good for guys, it must be good for women. Throw that out of your mind right now, because men and women are biologically, physiologically, neurologically, psychologically different from one another. So there is this constant like, well, what about guys, right? Okay, well, that's not what we're talking about right now. We're talking about women at this phase.
Jamie, if you're asking, is it a double standard?
Yes.
There is.
Yeah.
There
Yes,
is.
it
And
is.
if you're asking if it's fair, it isn't.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna bring up this right now. I'll ask the question first, and then I'll bring up my.
Well, I
my
just really
example.
wanted to get back. So okay, we'll focus on just the girls. Got it.
Hold on.
We can talk about
hold on,
that,
time
but I'm
out.
just saying
Do
there needs
you
to be a
care how
separation.
many guys? 'Cause this is a question we're gonna ask for. Do you care how many girls a guy has slept with when you date them?
I used to when I was young.
Tiana said yes.
I mean, if they come out and say the number
Jamie, I know
98.
you, and I know the answer to this. Do you really care how many girls a guy has slept with?
I mean, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So what's the number that's too high?
Yeah, I've never really thought about it, but like
Then
if
you
I
don't really care.
no, look, like I haven't thought about it, but look, just because I haven't thought about it doesn't mean it doesn't matter, okay? Like it matters. Like I'm answering your question honestly. If I didn't give a fuck, I would tell you. Okay? So, yes, does it matter? Yeah, is it super important to me? No, it's not super important to me, but like do I want somebody to like have multiple sexual partners? Do I want to be at a party and know that he's fucked you, and you?
My God.
No, I don't want to deal with that. You know,
You hear the
like,
noise? Like,
I don't want to deal
It's
with that.
important to me
Cool.
because if I am going to settle down with someone, I don't want to, for the rest of my life, have to go out into the world and know you because I met you when you were around 30 other women. I kind of can foreshadow what may or may not happen. And just with my own,
so it's an embarrassment thing, but it's not an actual number that's bothers you. But what the guy lived in New York and now you live in Vegas, his body count is high, but none of the girls live in Vegas. Would that be a problem for you?
I don't think so.
Would it be a problem for you?
It
No,
just
with
depends.
that.
Okay,
no,
now-
but
now-
here in Vegas, yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay,
guess
now,
where you
I'm
live.
going to ask the same.
So it's a status and a social aspect.
Let's have a hypothetical question. I have 3 dudes here, and then I ask them, do you think body count matters for a woman? What do you think they're going to say?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so
I was told on a first date, don't tell me who you picked up.
It is a double standard, and it isn't fair.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I want to go back to the hoe thing though, because I do, because look, I'm genuinely curious about it. Okay, because I hear that term a lot, but like, how do you actually define that? Like, what qualifies as a hoe phase? Like,
I think
because I hear that all women have, like, you're making a generalization saying that, hey, 18 to this, all women basically go through that. I didn't do that.
No.
I think if they have the opportunity,
that's a generalization that it's just a generalization, doesn't count.
Your peak sexual market value years are going to be right around 23 years.
Sure.
old.
Yes. But just based on your definition of what a hoe phase is, I don't apply to that. I know lots of women that don't fit that.
He didn't come up with the term hoe phase, and neither did I.
I called it party years.
I asked him, okay, you guys use the term hoe phase. I asked him how to define it. So that's what I'm referencing.
Yeah, for sure. It's just a colloquialism. I think party phase is probably a better way to put it. Because I know some girls that like they don't sleep with a bunch of dudes, but man, they like a fucking ton of attention. And they'll go through this phase in their life where they're like, they have a boyfriend and they're driving him crazy by making this dude jealous and this dude jealous. I've seen that happen also, but at the same time, there are a few girls who, like, we didn't come up with the term hoe phase, is what I'm saying.
No, we didn't. No, but I was going to say is like the span to 10-year span. This is how I classify it. So this is just my bonehead version of this. 18 to 28 years old. 23 is the age at which most men across the board find women they're at their most attractive, is between like 21 and 24 years old, right in there. So I peg it at right about 23. That is the prime age at which a woman has her peak sexual agency. Whether or not she is experiencing a hoe phase or living it up in Cancun or having in the hookup culture in her college or something like that is immaterial to the phase itself being like, this is when you're going to be at your peak potential. Now, we just went through COVID, right? So what women are saying is like, well, here I am in the prime of my life and I just missed 2 years of I couldn't date anyone. We were locked down, and there, like, women have said this on like many a podcast right now, saying, I feel like I got gypped out of my youth because I could have had potential to go out and meet guys, because that's right when they're in their most marketable as far as the sexual market value is concerned. That's when they're at their peak potential. And so within that 10-year phase, whether or not they are, sleeping with 100 guys or, up in their body count or whatever, or they are promiscuous, the fact still remains that that 10-year span right there is when women have their peak potential to lock down a guy who has the potential for long-term security.
By the way, when he's saying what he's saying, there's a book called Dataclysm where it goes over when most girls get their most right swipes, and it is between 23 and 25. It's not our opinion.
Yeah, between the ages, men between the ages of 15 and 90, they all rate women between the ages of like 21 to 24. I believe, right around there, as the most attractive.
And for men, it's like 38.
Well, for women, when they rate men who as being more attractive, it's always anywhere between 3 to 7 years older than they are at that particular time. So if a woman is 30, she's looking at a guy who's like anywhere between 33 and 37, something like that. So it's always staggers up, because I think on some level of consciousness, women realize that it takes longer for the man to develop and mature into his peak potential to have the most. He can be the full package, right? So he can still be good looking. He's got his money on point. He's got his physique on point. He's got his game on point. He's a better judge of character. He has some sort of status and affluence at that point. And so therefore, I think on some level, like when most women, when they're looking for a guy as a long-term, like a marriage or something like that, they're looking for a guy who's old, at the very least 3 to 7 years older than he is. So when we're talking about the hoe phase, the hoe phase is like, that's, again, I didn't make up the word, but it's the 18 to 28-year-old span where women are at their peak potential to maximize, and that's where they can maximize their potential. So how they go about doing that, you can have some very religious girl who's never had like a quote-unquote hoe phase, and she might have like maybe a 2 or 3 body count, and then you got the other girls on Fresh and Fit who at like 19 have something like 15 or 20 body count already at that point.
What could you buy with your body count? You remember that episode?
Exactly.
And this girl was like, I could buy a fucking Birkin. I was like, what the fuck?
Oh
You could buy a Birkin?
And then you also have to throw in variables as well, because
perhaps a juicy couture.
Because
what could you buy with your body count? Girl fucking around said, I want a Happy Meal. A what? A Happy Meal?
Most women, like, remember, as I just said, 75% of the population is overweight. So that doesn't mean that every single woman is having the same kind of hoe phase as somebody who is like exceptionally attractive.
Well, that's why I wanted that.
Contextual.
That's why I wanted that defined. That's why I wanted that definition, because I think, look, generally speaking, when I hear hoe phase, or when most women hear hoe phase, it's in reference to that separation is not something that I think most people would commonly define that as. Okay, most people, when they hear hoe phase, are going to be like, oh, she's a hoe, she fucks everybody, and it's like 10 plus, I would say.
So let me ask you a question. So I think this is the real discernment. Men will then judge a woman by how many men she slept with.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So really, that's the only point.
Yeah. Okay. Fair.
That's
enough.
that's the only
fair
real
enough.
point of this.
Fair enough. It's it was just being explained. You were talking about your book and how like the developmental periods and so that was what I wanted understanding and clarity on. Is what that actually looks like. How you're defining that.
Well, your priority. That's again like we were saying before. Your priorities. Like say when you're 18, you're like, I just want a hot guy. I want the MMA fighter.
Totally.
I want to get with the hot dude that is going to give me like a really good orgasm. I want to be with a guy who is hot and it's going to be the experience is going to be good. And then so looks is always going to be at the close to the top of the list. But as women's sexual market value decays and it is perishable, when women get to 29, 30, 31 years old, that's
perishable.
That's what. Well, more.
Never.
Again, I'm using that contextually because people will say, "Oh, are you talking about the wall, Rolo?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not talking." The wall starts here for women.
I would love for the three of you guys to read this book.
It doesn't start here for women. So
I would love to.
So after put it this way, your 33-year-old self could not compete in the sexual marketplace to the same degree that your 23-year-old self could. That's where the wall starts. It's not. There's very beautiful women who are like in their late 30s. I mean, Jamie Villamore.
Yeah, no, it's a great example.
Awesome. I mean, physically, she's absolutely stunning.
So what he's talking about is, so a lot of women, and this is, I'm speaking in just generalizations right here. A lot of women, let's just go all the way back to like the 1850s. There's going to be a significant difference between their level of attractiveness, how men find them attractive when they're 23 as opposed to when they're 35. Now, what happens is because of weight training, because of nutrition, because of plastic surgery, fillers, stuff like that, you can have women go into their late 30s and they never experience this. This was when Kevin Samuels told CJ Sparks, "You're in pretty prison." That's what I took it as. And so what happens is there's this normal inclination for a woman when she gets in her late 30s. Again, I'm speaking in a generalization here. She gets in her late 30s and she comes to the realization when she sees those 21, 22-year-old women, it's like, oh, I need to get married pretty soon. And because this girl is still in magazines, on the cover of magazines when she's 35, 36, because of plastic surgery, that thing never happens. And the next thing you know, you're 40. That's, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, that is a thing that happens in developed countries dealing with plastic surgery, women who have good nutrition and spend like all day in the fucking gym, which, trust me, I love it. This is one of the reasons why right now I'm seeing someone in their early 20s, but usually when I'm seeing someone, I do not care about age, but the factors, this was really great because the book you recommended for me, which was The Ape That Understood the Universe. When they talk about men who are attracted to women who are in their 30s, it doesn't disprove the rule. The reason why you're attracted to those women in their 30s is because they show signs of youth. Does that make sense?
Right.
They're
right,
showing.
yeah,
they're showing.
signaling.
Like I said before, we're not talking about you three. You three are 2 standard deviations above the normal level of attractiveness. When you guys are all 50 years old, you'll still be attractive. I think you can come at me on the fucking chat. I don't care. I think you guys are all very, very pretty. But that's the thing that'll happen is that for a lot of in general, again, a woman who grew up in Oklahoma in 1855, she's going to receive, like, once she gets to be like 29, there's going to be this immense pressure for her to get married and have kids. And for a lot of people, it just doesn't happen. Now.
Let me get some of these super chats because these are really good.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't get to that first one. I know what was he talking about, the ring? I can't remember that. I'll come back to
no
that.
hymen, no diamond.
Yeah, essentially, it's that's a good question. I want to come back to that because it's like, are women the gatekeepers of sex and men are the gatekeepers of commitment? Because Steven Crowder, you get this wrong as well. So we'll come back to that one. That was a good super chat. Adam says men don't need looks in the same way women do.
I don't know.
Men don't need looks in the same way women do.
Meaning that they.
I think it's the other way around. I think women don't need.
the other way around.
I think women don't.
I would say it's, now this was the good. This was a good one. Thanks for this. Adventuresome Brada. Is the body count double standard really unfair if a high body count truly ruins women for an LTR, a long-term relationship?
Is the body count double standard really unfair? Sorry, I had vodka.
Oh, so he's saying that if a woman is negatively impacted, like physically, if she has a high body count, is he saying like
there are studies that would show that this is, by the way, same for men and women. The higher the body count you are, the less likely you are to maintain a monogamous relationship or a long-term relationship.
I don't think that's true.
Why?
You don't?
If they have a high body count, it's less like. Whoa, wait, let me reel that back in. Hold on. I just went forward a little bit. Okay. I can see how that could be true, actually. Yeah.
Should a woman's sexual past matter to a guy?
Should it matter? Why would it matter?
Yeah.
Oh, it definitely
for exactly
definitely
what we
matters.
just said.
Should a hoe face matter? We were
What
talking
if
about
we
the hoe
never
face.
told you?
Right. So I mean,
You never do,
There you
anyways.
go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Porn stars are getting married, so I mean.
Again, so these are specific men that have decided to look past that number.
Sure. Okay.
I don't think so. I don't.
It shouldn't matter?
I don't think so. No, I don't think that it should matter. I think
so.
that I think you want to, because look, behavior can change.
Sure.
And so you wouldn't want to completely disqualify somebody if perhaps they've been a certain way in the past and then made a change, that can happen.
Here they come.
Yeah.
Here they come.
Yeah, boy, here we go. They love this one. Okay.
I've already seen it.
Someone said trauma.
Yes. Sorry, Saint.
What does that mean?
Sean St. George.
I have trauma?
And this is kind of the point here as well. It's the boner test does not necessarily guarantee a pass at the ring test. Again, coming back to. Are women the gatekeepers of sex? Are men the gatekeepers of commitment? I think we've had that conversation before, but it coincides with what we're talking about. Now, I've had this conversation so many different times, but it's coming back. It comes back in cycles. So when we talk about promiscuity, when we talk about women's sexual past, when we talk about the hoe phase, I think one of the things that women aren't really maybe conveniently unaware of is the fact that if a woman has a high body count, men tend to be revulsion to that. There tends to be at least a hesitation for a woman who has a high body count.
Look, can we in general? Because let's go back to I think the guys who are in the 30% of men who have had zero sexual partners, I don't think they do. And because, like she said before, I know several porn stars that are getting married, big ass rings.
Oh, yeah.
And Andrew Tate said it the best: 99% of men are simps. Like that.
Well, okay. So when it comes to I
think high status men, I agree with you. I just think, and for me personally, I remember reading what's Rich Cooper's book where he talked about those 21 red flags. I was like, these don't seem that big of red flags.
Those are basics.
Yeah, basics. And I remember afterwards being like, oh, that's right, because I don't want to be in a relationship. That's why I don't think any of these are red flags. They are red flags. So I do understand what you're saying.
Well, the reason why promiscuity is important for women, but clearly not for men, because each one of you said it wouldn't matter as long as I'm not in the same city as he is in, and all the other bitches that he's had in his past. As long as I'm not living in that city, then it's actually better that he has actually had more experience, because clearly he is the type of man other men want to be and other women want to have sex with. And his skills in the bedroom and his big dick prove the fact that he is actually he's in high demand. He's a high value guy. So that's one side of the equation. The other side of it is that the more partners, the more sexual, the greater your sexual past, the more difficult it is for women to maintain a happy marriage. The more difficult it is for women tend to be more suffer from depression as a result of that. They typically, like I said, to higher incidence of divorce.
Tiana, the thing where you look question. There's a movie you need to watch. It's called After Porn Ends, and you should watch it. And it's at the end of you can skip to the end. It's not very well done, but at the very end they show all these porn stars. At the very end, all the men, they ask the women, they're like, what did porn do to your life? And they're crying. They're like, I can't believe I did this, and it ruined my life. And they're like, and they leave and they get addicted to drugs, and then they're like, I turned my life over to God, and then they go right back to doing porn. The men are like, they're just playing golf.
They're
fucking. I started
Sterling Cooper.
I started a law firm. I'm happy. You see their fucking kids. Yeah,
got a line of nutrition
I did porn. Slept with 1,500 women. I'm good. Yeah, life's good. Yeah, it's very different. There is a psychological effect that does not exist for men at all.
Yeah.
And if you've ever
I think we were talking about that yesterday.
Yes, we were. And so that's one of the things.
Men can separate the emotional side of sex from the actual act itself.
Completely separate it. Yes.
And again, that's biological too, because men in our ancestral past, we had to hit it and quit it, right?
Yeah,
ejaculate and evacuate.
So here's the thing. So to your thing, let's evolutionary psychology. It's not about what ought. It's only about what is.
I didn't disagree.
Yeah, but so here's the reason why. Just from an evolutionary standpoint, let's go back to your Pleistocene ancestor. You always know the identity of your child. You always know the child is yours. We don't. I'm not saying that is necessary, because we have paternity tests now, obviously, and we have contraceptives, but your caveman ancestor was jealous of and very aware of your body count, because we need to know the child is our
kid.
Does that make sense? That's where it comes from. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. What I'm telling you is that's from an evolutionary standpoint, that's where it comes from.
That's also why single mothers are not as attractive as women who do not have children, because it's already proven that the kid that she's with is definitely not your kid. So that's where that kind of like hesitation, that revulsion comes from. That, of course, culturally and socially, we want to condition guys to hey, don't be the stepdad, be the dad who stepped up, right? But the hesitation is there for exactly that same reason, is that we want to ensure that our DNA goes off on into posterity as a result. So women with higher body counts tend to be less desirable, at least in the psychological sense, because they're not a good investment or not a good bet for the future, that kids that come out of this woman are going to actually be yours. So when a woman is in a monogamous relationship and she cheats on that guy, men and women relate to jealousy and men in this case maybe even violence. They're fixated on two different things. When a woman cheats, the guy wants to know, where did you fuck her? Was it in the bathroom? Was it in the bed? Was it in the kitchen? How was he? How big was his dick? How was it for you? They want details of what happened. For women, it's, are you in love with her? Am I losing out on my resources?
Yeah.
Am I losing out on your investment in me in the long term? Because again, women need that long-term security longer than they have their hoe phase for.
I've never said that though. If the guy's cheated, I said, "Why did you do this to me? Did you love me?"
Yeah, but you didn't ask.
Never. Oh my God, I'm gonna lose my money, my security.
No. I know,
It's like,
but
fuck, I just invested all this time.
Exactly, your investment.
But it's the same, yes.
Your investment.
But still, that's just.
Because you invested in his potential, and
then
that potential was
and then I still
betrayed.
say why, and then I'm like, where'd you do it?
Maybe afterward, yeah.
Okay,
Who is she?
so here's the thing. Dr. Buss in the book right here behind me talks about what you just said. When men cheat, women ask, "Do you love her?" When women cheat, men ask, "Did you fuck him?" Right?
Did you like it?
Yeah, stuff like that.
Did he make you come?
Right. So those are the questions. But here's the thing. This is not cultural. And the reason why, there's a couple reasons why we know it's not cultural. And one of them is gay men ask, "Did you fuck him?" Lesbian women ask, "Do you love her?" It is not a function of sexual preference. It is a function, men are men, women are women are women. And that's the reason why. Because what goes back to me asking, "Did you fuck him?" goes back to, is the child mine? And again, you guys understand, your neocortex has no concept of contraceptives. It does not. Your body, do you guys understand? Have you guys ever felt some level of resistance the first time you had sex with a guy? It's like, oh, I'm not really sure if I want to do this. Or have you ever been drunk the first time you had sex with a guy?
Totally.
Yeah. Never? You've never been drunk?
Drunk the first time you had, like when I lost
the first time you had,
Yes to
the
all
first
the
time
above.
each guy, individual guy. Have you ever been? Okay, right. So the thing is, men don't need that. We don't need to get drunk. We don't have that. So I know some men do, but like they don't
wake up that way.
Huh?
You guys wake up that way.
Well, yeah, exactly. There you go.
It's literally clear. We know
Nobody's ugly after 2 a.m.
By the way, there is another study for that. Have you seen the beer goggle study?
Yes,
Dr. Buss talks
yes,
about basically
yes.
as you get closer to 2 a.m.
I've seen that,
The
yeah.
standards by which a man will have sex with a woman become embarrassingly low.
Now the lights are coming on at the club.
And it looks like this. If you were to take the men and women of the same like stature, you'll see the men will point down for what they want, and the women will point up. It's really interesting what happens. You guys, if you guys wanted a short-term sexual partner, you guys could get an incredibly good-looking man for a short-term sexual partner. But a dude who's like a lieutenant at Hope Air, or like, what's it called, Fort Hood? You know what I'm saying? Where there's like 27 dudes to one girl. He's gonna aim down, and he's just gonna get whatever he wants. So you guys ever seen a guy who cheats and she's uglier?
Yeah.
Right. That's part of the reason why that happens.
Or they'll choose the girl, less attractive girl in the club. If you say he's talking to both of us, and I'm not showing as much interest, I'll take that girl because he's like.
Well, men
fucking
usually cheat
easy.
down.
Yeah.
I think so.
Usually.
Yeah, I do.
No, so. I don't know the stats. I don't know the numbers, but I've experienced it.
It's kind of hard to make stats on someone's physical attractiveness, but yes, anecdotally I think we generally.
Have you all been cheated on at one point?
Yes.
Everybody been through that?
Many times.
Do you think the invisible man cares about a hot girl's body count?
No, I think the Invisible Man would. Here's the thing.
No.
Guy at Cane's, would you like a
I think the Invisible.
Generally, no.
For the record, it's not high. So
I think the Invisible Man would do anything to go out with Steph.
So it's only kind of like these more like high value guys, where those kinds of the more desirable men.
I
where
think
those
it
things
depends.
because they
matter.
have the option to choose.
Let's say desirable, not necessarily high value. Let's say desirable.
Okay,
the more desirable
desirable.
man,
Okay.
yes. High value is subjective,
Sure.
but desirable really is a function of
Okay.
supply
Yeah, yeah.
and supply and demand.
Well, guys
Okay.
who are into sport fucking, they don't really care, right?
Right.
If they're looking for a long-term partner,
Then that kind
then
of.
that's when it comes like, oh, well, how do you vet for a wife? You know, like, well, so now we can
don't
have
ask, that's how.
we have a different conversation at that point. So, and another thing is when if women's promiscuity wasn't that big a deal, women would not slut shame other women as often as they do. Because that is a way of intrasexual competition,
Yes.
which is only a slut would wear that. Hey,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a gossip kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
That's intrasexual combat is what that is, and it is rooted in disqualifying a superior opponent by saying she's not a good bet for your paternity. So don't get involved with only a slut wears that. Only a slut wears the the cocktail dress. Oh, are you really into that kind of thing? And what it is it's sexual disqualification of like intrasexual combat. Men do it too, by the way, but we have a different way of doing it.
Yeah, we
of
have
course.
like that guy's a slut. He fucks.
A guy that good looking, he must be gay. If he
He's
looks
such
that
a
good, he must
whore.
be gay.
Yeah.
I'm sure he has a huge penis. You would never want that. Stay away from him. What a fucking
Yes.
whore. No,
Nasty
men do
It's
not
all
do that
about
sort of thing.
disqualifying that competitor
Yes.
from the marketplace.
That doesn't work very well, though.
And so where's the line of
It's actually the opposite, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like when women
100%.
denigrate other women, guys might think about it, but when dudes hate on me, it is like an aphrodisiac. I love when dudes talk shit to
Please.
girls I'm dating. It is unbelievable. Like literally, I cannot think of a single thing that turns women on more than when other dudes spend time out of their day to talk shit to women that I'm dating. I have never seen anything where a girl comes to me like, I can't believe he said this, and then they always want to come home with me. It is seriously, I am not that special. There is nothing special about me. But when dudes would talk shit to the girls I was dating, I have never seen something turn a woman on more than that.
Oh, it's a utility.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
yeah,
Keep
please
talking.
do.
Guys, listen,
It's
go
third-party
on my IG right now and message all those girls on my IG and just talk shit about me all day, please.
Let me see. Jose says this. He says, I think girls that deny the hoe phase, the 304 phase, is because they are currently in that phase, a delusion, right? And then, of course, I just read St. George here. I like the line of like, do women are they the gatekeepers of sex and are guys the gatekeeper of commitment? And I will tell you right now, women are the gatekeepers of both today.
Yeah, I agree. Because high status, I think lower status dudes are not the gatekeepers of either. I agree with you.
Well, like we saying even porn stars are getting married right now. You were saying the 80% are guys, the invisibles. Do they care about a woman's sexual past? Generally, no, because they're in such a state of deficit and such a state of scarcity that they're going to what do you say? Overlook those things. Overlook push past their innate
Excuse,
natural
minimize, justify
hesitations.
behavior.
wait, I would say they don't care about it if they're just
It's something
looking
they'll
to bang,
they'll
but-
overlook, right?
but
Well,
if
I mean,
you're-
guys will marry single mothers because that's their only shot at reproduction at that point. It's an adaptive mating strategy. Well, I can't get with a hot single girl, but this girl really needs what I have, my resources and my security, and I'm going to step up to the plate and take care of another man's child. And by doing so, then maybe I can have my own child too with this woman. So it's sort of overlooking it. It's like making your necessity a virtue.
Is that something men nowadays think about, or like are looking to women to date them, to meet them because they want to reproduce? Because anytime someone's asked me, do you
Nick
want
Cannon.
kids? Do you want children? Do you want to get married? The answer is yes. And they're like, yeah, I don't know if I want that. Like,
We ain't gonna make it.
what do you want?
Evolutionarily, you don't need to want to have.
Eventually.
Evolutionarily, you don't need to want to have kids to have kids. You just need to want to have sex, and so that's.
I continue, but I
Yeah.
got one for you.
But like that's Steve Stewart Williams in his book talks about that. You just need to want to have sex. So like because it made no sense to evolutionary psychologists for a while. It's like there's all these people who don't want to have kids, and it's like they don't need to want to have kids. They just need to want to have sex because their ancestors did not have contraception contraceptives. That's the reason why. By the way, I skipped this point when we're talking about being drunk before the first time you have sex. Your body does not know, your limbic system, your amygdala does not recognize that you are about to have sexual intercourse with a dude and not make a baby. Do you guys understand? Your body had to be, through evolution, programmed to feel like every single time I have sexual intercourse with this guy, there is the potential of a child. Do you guys understand?
Yes.
Even when you are fully cognitively aware of the fact that you are on the pill and he's wearing a condom, or maybe even has a vasectomy. Even those things, your subconscious, your cave woman brain is not aware of those things. I say this before, your subconscious has no concept of contraceptives. And so because of that, that's the reason why you still have these feelings of like anxiety the first time you have. Whenever I ask women this question, how many of you have had the first time you have sex with a dude?
I think STDs are probably part of that anxiety.
Yeah, but again,
Dirty dick.
I agree.
Yeah.
But you can add anxiety to it, like, for sure. But what I'm saying is, additionally, I don't think there's a way. Whenever I ask women, the first time you have sex with a particular guy, how many of you were drunk? It's in the high 80s to 90% of the time they tell me they were drunk or on Molly or did coke the first time they had sex with the dude. It's like to the point where it's like crazy high numbers. And so that's one of the reasons why that happens.
But you're talking about women in Vegas, Mike. You're not talking about women in the Amish Dutch country of Pennsylvania.
They don't drink as much.
They don't drink that. No.
I was going to say, what your question actually is it's the difference between proximate cause and ultimate cause. So proximate cause is, man, she's a hot piece of ass and I really want to hit that. The ultimate cause, the ultimate function of that is, I want to reproduce. I want to have babies. So there's a difference between you being in the moment and the club right there. Like, for instance, I use this example all the time. My proximate cause, when I first saw my wife, when we first met, I wasn't going, I want to have kids with her, and I think she'd be a great mother and everything.
Just tell us that?
I'm going, man, I really want to tap that. That was the proximate cause, right?
Yeah.
The ultimate cause.
Unless you're LeVar Ball, you ever heard of
At what point did that shift for you though, where it became more than sex for you, where it became more than that?
Oh, it's still
and
just
you're
sex
like,
to me.
no. Is it really?
No.
Like,
well, sex is the.
Well, look. If that's true, then why not? Why be monogamous with her?
Right.
Why?
That's
If
what
that's actually.
No, it is more than that. But
Yeah.
like, as far as like, here's the thing: is again, the difference between men and women. Men can separate the sex act from that emotional investment. Women cannot, because they have a lot more invested in.
Right,
that.
but that's not what I'm talking about. What I think is really interesting is, though, at some point something did shift where you saw value in saying, oh, you know what? I don't need to open myself to any other sexual partners. So that means you're picking beyond the sex, right?
Yes.
So at what point did that shift for you where you're like, you know what? This is a person that I actually do want to have a child with. This is a person that I actually do want to commit to and say, yeah, I'm taking myself off the market. Like, what was it about that shifted for you?
I get this all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, so first and foremost, when sex is the glue that holds a relationship together. Without that, you're just roommates. You have a platonic relationship at that point. So I love my brother. I love my daughter. I love my dogs. I love my wife, but I only have sex with my wife. That defines my relationship with my wife. And I don't know how to explain that in any other like more primary ways, because a lot of people want to like add more meaning to it and everything. I'm like, no. I love all these people, but I express that.
Why her above anybody else that you could have chosen?
So what is it? What was the value added that came along with that?
Yeah, with her.
So for instance, and this is like public knowledge. I talk about this all the time. I was non-exclusive with my wife for about the first like 3 or 4 months that we were dating. She was seeing other people. I was seeing other people. We were dating as adults date. Hey, do you want to get together? Yeah. Okay, let's go. We're going to go here tonight. Yeah. Oh, I like being with you. We were dating non-exclusively up until the point where my wife says, you know what? I don't like the idea of you like being with other women. I want to be exclusive. And at that point I was like, yeah, the rewards were really, really good. I still to this day enjoy having sex with my wife. So I was like, yeah, I think I can do that. You know, I put off the other plates that I was spinning at that time.
I'm hard pressed to believe though that it's just sex that made you like just the sex is good.
Well, it was at first. That's just the thing. Is like, as I said before, when we're talking about arousal, it gets you in the door.
Yeah.
So for attraction, what is it that makes that person, whether male or female, what makes them qualifies them for somebody that you would want to? Okay, in marriage vows, it is forsaking all others. Okay, that's part like to love, obey, forsake all others in sickness and in health, for rich or for poor, to death do us part. Okay, those are actually terms of an agreement if you think about it. So the marriage vows are actually terms. So what is it about her that would make me want to forsake all others? Okay. Well, first of all, I up to a point I was like wasn't sure I wanted to marry her until I got to the point where I'm looking at her interacting with her niece, and I saw her family, and I was not marriage. I just got out of a relationship with a borderline personality disordered woman.
Yeah,
so
tough.
I'm like, wow, this is like a breath of fresh air. And so I fell in love with her family. I fell in love with her sister and her brother and her niece and everything else. And so I was like, I wanted to be part of that tribe, I guess.
I was going to say something on that.
So there was value added beyond just the sexual. The sexual has to be there. It's the glue that holds the relationship together. Beyond that, what is value added? And that's why, actually, that was a question I wanted to ask you guys. It's on my list here. What makes a woman a high value woman? Like we would talk about what makes a high value man. I hate this question where like guys will say, well, what else do you bring to the table? That's the wrong question. What value added do you have beyond
I think that's a way better.
I
think that's a wonderful
beyond your
question.
sexuality? Because at that point, women stammer and stutter. They'll be like, oh, I have a business.
I don't at all.
I have a business. I make money. I'm just like, well, what they do is they try to their idea of adding value is being more like a man.
You know what? You're so right about that. You're so right about that because that's a projection.
Well, I mean, men generally depending on heterosexual men generally don't want to marry other men.
I am 100% in agreement with you because I hear the same thing. They'll be like, well, I make this or I do that. Well, that is not necessarily what a man would actually look at being high value. That is what a woman would categorize as high value. So she's answering that from a place of projection. Now, I tend to think, so I agree with you on that. But I think like how women can add value, like, is that kind of the question? Or?
Yeah. What beyond the sexual do you? Why would a guy want to forsake all other women?
Well, that was kind of the question.
If he's a high value guy, what is it about women? What is it about yourself? What is it about my wife? What is it about anybody in this room? What makes you value added to say, you know what? I would forsake all other sexual experience because you bring something to the table that I'm not finding in anyone else.
Well, I mean, I think every woman is going to be individual as far as what they uniquely bring to the table and also what that man finds attractive, because what might be attracted to another guy might be repulsed by that, but they view value differently. I think what a woman I think one of the biggest things a woman can do that can add value is to bring peace to a relationship. I think that's a huge thing, and because men don't want drama, men don't want chaos, and so if you can create peace and a structure within the household, I think that's highly attractive and a wonderful skill set to have as a woman.
I think it comes down to like getting in touch with your feminine. Like
I was going to say, how do you feel about the whole bringing your feminine energy? Because I feel like that's also sometimes a hot topic.
Well, I get this again. Like, the reason I asked you guys this question early on about like you're educated, you have your business on point, you're making money as an influencer, whatever. You as a marriage therapist, having all of that. I get this question all the time from the same people. It's like, Rolo, I have. I've got my business on point. I went to 8 years of college. I did all this stuff. I'm 36 years old. Where's my man? Where's the guy who's my equal? Because they believe that all of that should make them more attractive, and it's not, because what they've done is they've become the men that they wanted to marry. And so what do I say? I say, well, girl, you're going to have to get in touch with your feminine side. Like we've been telling guys that since the 70s. Oh, you need to get in touch with your emotions and your feminine side. Now I am experiencing this where I'm saying, look, you have become the man that you wanted to marry because you don't trust men outright simply because we've socialized women to never, like, men are untrustworthy or they're buffoons or idiots or they're borderline abusers. But again, it's a hard one. But it's hard to tell women you need to get in touch with your feminine side, because what they equate that with is I have to dumb myself down.
Yeah, I actually talk to women about this a lot in my private practice, and I help them manage their feminine energy because it's their superpower. However, that has a very negative connotation now, and so does being in your masculine energy. Those things are very judgy. They're hot topics, and they're things that a lot of people don't want to talk about because of the stigma attached to it. But I think that if you can, I think, that was a wonderful point that you brought up about being in your feminine energy, because it is a superpower if you know how to channel it. And I think that it is such a strength, and but why so many women aren't functioning in their feminine energy is a completely different thing. And I work with them on that for many different reasons,
I think one of the highest compliments a man can give, especially a high value man can give to a woman, is you'd make a good mother. Because that means that he is picking up on the fact that you have at least the potential to be nurturing, to want to actually be, someone who's going to take care of the household, somebody who's going to be in their feminine energy, whatever. I think feminine energy is just it's a name that we give to something that's actually a lot more tangible, a lot more empirical. It's just we don't know, like we want, woo, but we want to, like if you look at nurturing, if you look at conventionally feminine characteristics, a lot of guys say, oh, does she cook? It's not about cooking. It's about the act of cooking is a form of nurturement. It's, I want to keep you, I love you so much, and I want to be with you so much that I want to cook for you to keep you alive.
To get you fat.
Like I ask guys,
nobody else wants you.
I'm gonna sell my wife out here real quick. Like when we're in the car and like she's got like one at a time kind of food. Like she'll feed me while I'm in the car. Right? I can feed myself, but that's the act of just sort of, and again, I think it's sort of like on a primal level. I care about you. I love you enough to do all this kind of stuff. I have this bond and this, this connection with you to the point where my act of feeding you, like chicken McNuggets, is a form of nurturement. Yeah. And I don't think we really pick up on, it's like trusting a guy with your life as well.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of women, they're in their masculine energy because it's a way that they have to protect themselves.
Feel safe.
It's a security. It's a feel safe.
It is, because
exactly.
look, being in your feminine, that's something that has unfortunately been exploited, or a lot of women can't, because their role just even domestically has changed, where more women are working, and so
they don't trust men. They don't trust men to provide the security that they know that they're going to need later in life.
I will say that
men, like if the saying is, we have to bring peace, men have to make an environment of peace to even happen, for peace to even happen.
That's your frame.
And
men need to have a frame into which a woman
wants to enter. They also have to
have
an intention behind it also, even if it's like not going to last too long. It's still like, because it is a feeling of safety, is where we kind of have to have our dukes up all the time. So I think they also, it's like, yes, you got to, bring your masculine energy, but at the same time, there has to be, I guess, a little hint of...
Steph here just like said a moment ago, I'm looking for a guy that I can fall in love with. I'm looking for a guy who's like got his shit together. And really the qualities you were telling me is like a guy who has the potential to provide long-term security for you.
Yeah, but that's why I'm not married yet, and that's why I won't settle, because I'm taking care of my sister's kids, which she has 4 kids from 3 different men. She passed away, but none of those men take care of their children, and then my father didn't take care of me or my sister.
So you're the responsible one.
Yes, I'm just very like everything has to be there, and it's not just looks, it's not just your career, money. What you have to have. All of it.
You need the perfect storm.
And it is connection. Like, it's kind of everything. And otherwise, I could give myself all that.
And
or a dog.
And that right there, what she's just described, is the frame that you were talking about. The guy has to have that frame that woman wants to enter into. He has to have a world into which that woman wants to be in.
Look, when I was talking about peace earlier, it's just that is an isolated incident of being able to add value. And if a woman can add value, like, that's a good way. Now, here's what I will say to that. Now, not everybody deserves that, okay? And like, look, you like, I never want somebody to be able to take me out of my true state, okay? If my true state is being in my feminine energy, I don't want my environment, a person, anybody else being able to have the power to take me and act out of pocket or act out of character or be inauthentic, okay? So it's my job to manage that. Now, if I'm around somebody that I don't really feel safe about. I feel like I have to be more protected. Well, guess what? You don't get me.
I was going to say that too.
You don't get me.
I remember my mom, when I was dating my last serious boyfriend, this was like the first guy I actually had her give me some insight on. I opened up to her about this, and she's like, you just have to be his peace. And I was like, no, he's not doing the things I need to be peaceful.
Yeah, and that's
then I realized that you have to kind of be, as women, you do still have to be self-aware, and it's half your responsibility to stay in or leave it. If it's not, if he's taking you outside of your natural state. Because naturally, I'm
And
going to be
that's not
feeding you
for
your
you.
chicken nuggets. But if I feel like you don't deserve it and you're just, you know, not going to be
There has to be
appreciative
a
of
genuine
that.
desire to want to do that.
Yes.
And I still
Yes.
feel like, okay, he's appreciative of this. Like, here, eat it.
I gotta keep you alive, baby. I
wash it
don't want
down
you.
while you're at it.
I don't want nothing bad to happen to you.
Yeah.
Let me read some of these, the rest of these here. Jose S. says, Rolo doing God's work. 100. Shout out to Mike. I remember him since the RSD days.
Like 2 videos with RSD. But shout out to those guys.
Terrell Xavier, Dr. Xavier. A girl sold her first time sex for $3.5 million.
I remember that.
I saw that.
If you knew,
Oh, I think I heard about
if
that.
you knew yours was worth that, would you still give it to the same man or would you sell it?
Wait, what?
No, I don't think.
Cute.
Would you
it?
sell your virginity, or okay, given what you like on your first time having sex?
Sure.
If you said, okay, would you have? You can have that experience, or you can sell it to the highest bidder for $3.5 million.
No way.
That's a good.
That's a
I love this question. That was awesome. Thank you, Xavier.
I mean,
It got quiet as a motherfucker in there. What happened?
I'm thinking.
For sure. I'm with you.
at this point,
The amount of,
with what I know now, or I mean, like, no, everything, sex for me is literally connection now. I didn't know that back when I was
It
younger.
wasn't
and having
connection
sex.
for you before,
I just.
or was it just as like,
Well, it was,
man,
it
he's
was
hot, I gotta get with
attraction.
him?
It was attraction and not knowing truly what was gonna like be real for me, I guess, at the time, because like a lot of the guys I slept with when I was younger, they couldn't make me come. I'll just say it outright.
Damn.
And then men would be like, why can't I? And I figured out later on at my age now that it's because it's connection. And
Sure.
it's
Because it was you.
me.
Not him.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, but I mean,
No, I know. I
Now-
know what you're saying.
now,
I know.
like,
yeah.
do I want that amount of money? If I was virgin?
$3.5
No,
million.
but just
That was a very good
connection.
question. Sean St. George says, some men will accept
give it away.
low-quality women for companionship and reproduction potential, even if they know the risk of it. So, but
Yeah,
that was
we
on
know.
the promiscuity side. And then
all vodka.
Man, Sean St. George, once again, he says, I love hearing bringing peace into a relationship. This should be a quality. I've had too many relationships where the woman was a source of conflict instead of peace. And let me tell you, I can relate because I was with that BPD girl for about 3.5 years. And boy, you want to
How
talk
was
about
that?
chaos? That was
Well,
chaos.
that was one of the transitions.
That was the pit of hell. Thank you very much.
Wow.
So can we go over this real quick? BPD, we were talking about.
Borderline personality
No,
disorder.
right, yeah. So it's a cluster B personality disorder in the DSM-5. There's mad, bad, and sad. Cluster A is mad. Cluster B is bad. Cluster C is sad. Cluster B is going to be borderline, histrionic, antisocial personality disorder, and borderline personality disorder. So with BPD, we're dealing with kind of a simple way to explain it is like it's a disorder based around abandonment. So you didn't call me. You didn't call me back, so I fucked your brother. That kind of. I know that's an extreme example, and you know a lot about this, and I was just curious, like women. Dr. Martha Stout has an opinion about this where men and women are misdiagnosed as far as sociopathy and BPD is concerned, that men and women are about the same when it comes to BPD and
I would
sociopathy.
agree.
But the way it is diagnosed is men are far more likely to be diagnosed as sociopaths and women are far more likely to be diagnosed as BPD.
Yeah.
So what do you, from borderline personality disorder, what is something that a guy may be watching right now or a girl might be not notice as far as borderline personality disorder? Because this is something you specialize
Well,
in.
here's one. Well, I don't necessarily specialize in BPD. I specialize more in narcissism, which is, again, personality disorder stuff. But one of the things that you'll see a lot with BPD is all good or all bad, black and white thinking. That's something that happens all the time. So, and you're going to feel a lot of anxiety. You're going to feel like I can't ever do anything right. So there's always this kind of moving the goalpost. And then there's this huge looming fear of always leaving. So you're going to see a lot of attachment. Like look, I don't want to villainize people with BPD because a lot of people with BPD, it is a very manageable thing if you're willing to manage it, and a lot of them are aware that the behavior is is unhelpful and they actually have a desire to change. Most people with BPD actually have that awareness and the desire to change it. So I will just say that. So I'm not villainizing anybody with BPD. However, it is a difficult personality to manage. It is a difficult personality to be in a relationship with. So you will see like somebody put you on the pedestal and then you say you didn't put the dishes away. You're the worst husband in the world. Okay. You'll see a lot of really reactive behavior, and also it can be kind of, I don't want to say manic because manic is something else, but you'll see a lot of high risk behavior with BPD as well. So you can see a lot of self-harm. Cutting typically gets associated a lot with BPD. That's more for women than it is for men. But yeah, you know, you're good, you're bad. Again, not being able to please, walking on eggshells, a lot of tension building, a lot of anxiety. So those are some of the, I have to speak about it very generally. You know, I can give you maybe one example of how you might be able to see a BPD trait. Let's say I have, I'll just use guy-girl terminology. Don't kill me for it. You know, I'm going to be whatever. Let's just say, and I'll use traditional roles, so don't bite my head off for it.
That's okay. Elon Musk owns Twitter now. You can say whatever the hell you want.
Okay, so let's just say I've got a, you know, I'm going to use the guy as a BPD trait. So let's just say I have a girl and she's been taking care of the kid all day. The house is a little disheveled. Guy comes home and he's just like, what have you been doing all day? Like, you look a mess. Like, you know, what are you doing? And so she's like, okay. So the next day she wants to have, when he comes home, she wants to have everything ready. She gets herself ready and, you know, the kid's taken care of, the house is clean, and she's fixed herself up. And he comes home and he goes, now who are you trying to look good for?
So it's a Kobayashi Maru. You cannot win. No-win situation.
So we call those situations double binds. Okay, and so that's the all good, all bad. That's the difficult to please. It's you know, like, why are you talking to that person? You know, it can feel very controlling and very constricted to be in a relationship with somebody with BPD, and you'll see extreme mood swings. So high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low,
and there's
constantly.
Triggers for each one of those too.
Absolutely triggers, but like this, you can do this all day, all day, all day, all day. Good, bad, right, wrong, black, white. Like, there is no gray. There is not a level of like a compromise. So, and those are just a very general way to kind of explain how that behavior presents.
So when I was in the BPD relationship, it was really insane levels of jealousy and possessiveness. And it got to the point where it was, and I didn't even know what until I started reading the DSM, like when I was studying psychology, I didn't even realize there was a diagnosis for this until I got chills when I read this, right? So I was like, it was an insane level of jealousy. It was like crazy good porn star sex in bed, but like crazy out of bed too. So you couldn't go walk down the street, you couldn't watch a movie, you couldn't do anything without like, oh, does that girl look like one of the girls you fucked in the past? You know, like crazy levels of jealousy, crazy levels of possessiveness, to the point where she would start isolating me from my family and my friends and the things that I was doing. And it was just, there was only the relationship, there was only us. And again, you know, she was hot enough, and the sex, the reward, with the operant conditioning, right? The reward was you get crazy sex, but you have to put up with all this bullshit, you know, day in and day out. And I can't imagine guys who were like sort of blue pill guys who are really kind of the 80%ers to get into a situation like that. It's almost a death sentence at that point, because at some point she ends up, you know, cuckolding that guy, or at some point she ends up cheating on him because he's no longer a fun plaything anymore, I guess. And so what happens is due to that isolation, she ends up putting into guys' head, gaslighting guys, I guess was probably the proper term for it, that he is actually the source of her like psychosis. And if he could just be better, if he just, you know, manned up, if he took more responsibility, and it locks into the narrative. I think really today it's almost more dangerous than it was like back in the 90s, right? It locks into this narrative that you have to live up to her expectations, and if you're not, you're a failure. And the litmus test of meeting those expectations is being the kind of man who isn't the source of her own psychosis, when in fact you're just a convenient like host for the parasite at that point, that tries to convince you that if you would change, you would be able to solve her problems for you, and it never works that way.
You know, that does happen. It's actually more narcissistic than it is.
MPD and BPD go hand in hand.
Are you born? I'm not too familiar of like how it.
No.
Okay.
So
No.
40% of people with borderline personality disorder have narcissism. 100% of psychopaths have narcissism. You are born a psychopath. Narcissism and BPD, there is
develop over time.
And not every narcissist is a psychopath.
Yeah. So there is different. Basically, you would take monozygotic twins and you would see is one of them becomes BPD, the other one becomes BPD, and we find that is not the case. With psychopaths, we find that is the case. So that's the reason why psychopathy is a neurological disorder that has to do with the neural pathways in your brain not forming for you to feel empathy or conscious or remorse. Conscious. This is the reason why her and I were talking about this. Amber Heard is a narcissist, not a psychopath, because there's no way she'd go to trial and get caught and get exposed like that if she was a psychopath.
Narcissists love to testify too. They love it.
Exactly. Like when I'm being interviewed about the girl who killed her sugar daddy, the Kelsey Turner. She's going. Her boyfriend pled out. He's already pled out. He's not getting the death penalty. She wants to go to trial. She's going to go to trial in a trial where she clearly committed murder, and she's going to. Well, that's what a narcissist would do. This is like the definition of narcissism, right? This is one of these things. You shit in a bed. You should not be going to trial for this. You want to hide. You shouldn't even have shown up for trial. You should go hide. It's because you're a narcissist. That's what
Meghan Markle is a good combination of BPD and NPD. I see those traits and I see exactly what she does. And she's got Prince Harry in that relationship, and he is the epitome of the beta male trapped in that, like,
and I'm so glad that you brought that up because so many people don't see that, and I've watched that from day one.
Oh my God, shine some light on it. What am I not seeing?
Oh my God. Well, she's a victim narcissist, right? And so what she does is she feigns, and then he has to care and elicit care responses. You'll see that a lot with BPD.
Which kills me because like Harry didn't used to be like that. He used to be a player, and then
Harry used to be in these streets in Las Vegas.
Yes,
what do you mean?
Prince Harry used to be he used to fly helicopters, man. You know, and now look at him. I don't think that. Oh, and then another good example is Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith.
Michael and I talked about that one, and we had a whole thing on Amber Heard as well. We went in. Well, Jada
was a narcissist.
Jason, very much.
Will is an empath, 100%. Yeah. He is an empath. Now Jada,
we call
in my
opinion,
presents with very strong narcissistic traits.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this a long time. Everything became about her.
We did a whole podcast.
It's one of these situations where like anyone else she would be with, she'd be the more famous person in the couple. She's with this guy, and she's not. So he turns everything.
I talked about
Jada turns everything back to him.
Though.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I've gone out with girls before, and we'll go to a party, and I know more people than her, and she's not used to that. She's used to being like the big, because she has way more followers than me, and you can just see this reaction, and all of a sudden everything has to turn back to her. So sometimes you'll see that happen.
What's the difference between an attention seeker and someone like a Jada? Then
well, she is an attention seeker.
So let's say there's a scale. We're talking about a legitimate personality disorder. So with a personality disorder like this, we're talking about, so with a narcissist, there is no conscious, there is no empathy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like a psychopath, there's nothing. It's not
dark room.
We're at zero. Exactly.
Empty closet.
We're at zero. Correct. Well, the thing what would separate like a narcissist from a psychopath, and when I say psychopath, I actually mean antisocial personality disorder. Psychopath is like a colloquial term.
Sure.
It's not a diagnostic term. But when I say that, with a psychopath, you're right, there's nothing. It's basically somebody who's lost an arm and saying, go ahead and grow an arm. That's the equivalent of telling a psychopath to feel empathy. The neural pathways for empathy don't exist. For a narcissist, they could have existed at one point, but what's happened is you've got
a defense mechanism more than anything.
You've gotten so fucked up that basically, like as a narcissist, I'm like, why are you unhappy? I do care about your feelings. But the way I make you happy is by allowing you to serve me. What make this all about me?
They don't really care about your feelings, though. No, they don't. It's very self-serving.
They're still confused. Why are you mad at me?
They don't see any wrong ever. So that would be where any confusion would lie, is because they're not wrong. They don't take any ownership or accountability, anything. Like they have not done anything. So why are you upset?
So how do you maintain a relationship with someone who's like that?
Well, you excuse, minimize, and justify bad behavior.
So they just probably don't deserve I'm asking for you. Listen,
With a
I'm asking
narcissist?
I'm
No, I
asking
would
for a
never.
friend.
No, for a narcissist, I would not to be in a relationship
Well,
with a
look,
narcissist.
like a lot of people say that and then find themselves in a relationship, and there are other things at bay a lot of times that keep you connected to somebody that is not good for you. Okay, emotional investment, attachment. Those are two big reasons why you might recognize that something is bad, because a lot of women and a lot of men know, but you will excuse, minimize, and justify behavior for a multitude of reasons.
I think that's one of the key elements of, like, I think Rich Cooper talks about this, identifying red flags. But guys love to complicate their lives. Right? They love.
think so?
They love to complicate their lives.
What's a good diagnosis for that?
Because
Crazy. Is that a diagnosis?
She's
No.
crazy in bed, but she's crazy out of bed. And like, what's the threshold? What's the breaking point? I'll tell you right now. It was 3.5 years of that. I got to the point where it was like, I relate.
What was that point for you?
Okay, I will tell you. I relate this story quite a bit on my
Yeah.
own show. Is I got to the point where we had this knockdown, drag out fight. It's like to the point where she's like digging her nails. I've never been physically like,
blood drawn.
Yeah, and I'm like, she was like really just borderline having like a violent episode on me, and it wasn't so much like that. I'm just like, am I in this kind of like, you've heard about this before,
Sure.
abusive relationships? Am I actually experiencing it? And yes, the answer is actually yes. So I can remember having this knockdown fight, and I'm just like, this is not going to happen. And I was sitting in her dorm room, and I looked. She blew out, and she went into her bedroom, like stormed off, and she went into her bedroom. So there's one door right here, and then there's the other door to go out of her dorm and go out into the parking lot and get in my car and drive away. And I'm looking at those two doors, and I'm like going, I have a choice here. I can go to that door. I literally have a choice. I can go in that door and try to make things right, or I can get out of here and get on with my life. And I went out that door and I got on with my life.
Nice.
And that was after like trying to make this bitch happy. That's all I was trying to do. Was trying to solve her problems, and I believe that I was the source of the
a lot
problem,
of gaslighting.
because it was all gaslighting. And yes, let me get to this real quick. Sean St. George again, he says, Rollo, did your BPD keep moving the goalposts? Yes, to the point where I got to that stage where I'm looking at two doors and I go, you know what? It's never going to end. Yeah, I have to end this. I have to be the one to lead it.
If you get in discussion with all three, the histrionic, I don't know a ton about, but the other three, antisocial, narcissist, or BPD, they're all going to move the goalpost. They're not going to lose a conversation with you. It's never going to happen. It's always going to be your fault.
You will never win. It's Kobayashi Maru, man. It's a no-win situation.
That's exactly right. I do want to touch on something, because I don't know how much longer we're going to go here. But you said something on stage today that I thought was terrific. And because she's a marriage therapist, is something I wanted to bring up. And you talked about the real reason why marriages don't work. And they kept talking about, you remember all the other excuses you came up with? Can you bring up those real quick? I'm curious on her take on what you said.
Well, I mean, I could just cut to the chase here. It's like the real reason why marriages don't work is because there's a lack of desire. There's a lack of genuine desire.
But you brought up one other thing about something to do with
what specifically did I say?
You said
I say a lot of things.
You said because people are overweight.
Oh yeah, primarily. Well, that's Oh, I know. Okay, so it was it was in relation to an art. It was seriously.
Is that what I did?
It was in relation to an article that I had been reading, and it was why men and women, why are there sexless marriages? Like right now, I think the stat was like 27% of marriages in the United States are sexless, meaning that the couple has sex 10 times or fewer in a year. So that's like less than once a month, basically, is what it comes down.
Do you think that's because the attraction has declined in the
lack of genuine desire, but primarily so every damn article that has anything to say about this says the same thing. Oh, it's because of stress. Oh, it's because he doesn't do enough chores around the house. Oh, it's because of, they all ignoring the 800-pound gorilla in the room, which is obesity rates are through the roof, and nobody wants to have
75% of the people in this country
and
are overweight.
That's a biological thing. Nobody wants to have if you don't get to the arousal thing, if the arousal isn't there, of course it's going to decline. So it's like staying in shape. I remember what you were saying before. I think it was on the show that you did with Mike. When couples come together, if they already are like gym rats already to begin with, like my wife is very, very thin, very slender, very good looking for her age, right? Because it's not because we are like, we do it for each other. I go to the gym and everything, because I like sex too much let myself get fat. Okay, so I'm like I don't want to see people on video on Pornhub who are fat having sex, and I don't want to see me as a fat guy having sex with another. So I'm like, that's my rationale right there. But the thing is like it's a genuine desire on her part. She's always been into physical fitness. She's always been, taking very good care of herself. And it comes down to like, well, I want to stay in shape for my husband because, it's the glue that keeps the relationship together.
I'm not going to disagree with you, but I will piggyback, or I'm going to say it doesn't start there though. I think I don't think that that's the number one reason why marriage fails. I think that it's a big reason why marriage, why it doesn't work.
I was talking about sexlessness. So.
Okay,
and
just
then
the sex in the
sexlessness
marriage.
then leads to divorce. Yeah.
Well, I guess if you're just talking about why the sex declines, would that be probably a number one factor? I would actually agree with you on that. But I don't think that that's why marriage fails, though.
Why do you think marriages fail?
I think people pick the wrong person. I think that a lot of people get into relationships where they weren't really like women pick partners a lot of times because of scarcity, a fear that their clock is ticking, okay, and they will pick by what is available or security or whatever, and that gets them into a relationship a lot of times that they're not happy or satisfied in, and then 30 years later they're getting divorced, okay, or whatever. Or, so people and guys will do the same things. They'll they might hook up with somebody that they're super sexually attracted to, but doesn't have some of the other qualities that would maintain that relationship. And let's say the looks drop off, well, then that relationship drops off. Okay. So the aging affects what that relationship, does long term. So, those most people are not picking from a place of genuine connection or love, and I think you need connection, attraction, all of these things for a successful relationship, and a lot of people don't pick from that place. They pick from a place of fear. So that's the number one reason why I think relationships or marriages don't succeed.
Okay, so first off, a few stats here. The average age of first marriage in the United States for men is 29 or 30 right now, and I believe it's 28 to 29 for women, somewhere in that range. In Western Europe, it's way later than that. We're talking like in 34, 36 in some cases, depending on the country right now. The rate of marriage in the United States is 5.1 per 1,000. It is the lowest it has ever been since they started recording it. So again, is it settling, or is it the idea that is it this unrealistic expectations, unrealistic goals, I guess, as far as like, I hear this all the time. I'm not going to settle for anyone less than perfect. Steph was just saying a minute ago.
That's actually not what she's saying. She's saying that I want love and I want connection.
But are you willing to compromise certain aspects of that to get to that? Because there's plenty of guys in the chat right now who would love to wife you up. I guarantee it. Guys, put a 1 in the chat if you would wife her up.
A lot of people have wanted to marry, but there was other things lacking from it that I didn't want that. So it's not like I can't get married.
Why did you turn them down? What was the most common thing?
Well, I want a stronger connection, or I maybe wasn't attracted fully to where I wanted to be with them. I want desire, I want lust, I want romance, I want you to be loyal, I want to trust you. Like, there's a million other things, but a lot of the things you guys are saying, it's like money, whatever. It's not usually. I want security, and I want someone that's doing better than me, because I struggled my whole life.
Does a guy have to have all of those criteria met for you to want to say, okay, I'll get with this guy and not feel like I'm settling, not feel like I'm compromising?
No, one of the main things is though how I feel with somebody and like the connection. That's the main thing.
What goes into the connection though? Like what contributes to that for you?
Spending time together, their interest in my life, making me laugh. Like spending time together is one of the main things in communication.
Attraction qualities.
And the interest in me, because I've easily lost interest in people that had every other thing, but they just weren't communicating. And
So I think the number one complaint that guys have right now is exactly what you're saying, is that like women are too entitled. They have an overblown sense of self and an overblown ego, and they believe that they are entitled to a a percentage of men, again, who are the high value guys and nothing else will do. And they would rather die alone and single than not get with Justin Waller.
No, but that's the thing. That's why girls go around
or
dating.
share that guy either directly or indirectly.
Well, like if you're not interested for whatever reason, it won't be a match anyway. Like you shouldn't settle or compromise your standards no matter what, or settle because it won't work long term because you're.
Do you think that is contributing to the rate of marriage right now?
Like what is contributing to the rate of marriage?
Well, like the idea that you will not settle for anything less than perfect.
Well, I don't think anybody's saying that though. We're not saying less than perfect. Like we're actually saying
you just said an ideal match. You said that was one of the reasons why marriages don't work is because they selected the wrong person, or they compromised, or they settled on the wrong
but that's
guy.
that's not perfection. That's not perfection. It's saying like, hey, like you want connection, you want attraction, and like with that, we're all human. We're gonna have things that work. We're gonna have things that don't work. But like that doesn't make it not a match. Like nobody's going to be perfect. So, and we don't have, I'm not hearing any unrealistic standards from anybody. It's just like, hey, this is what I like. And this is what's important to me. That's not unrealistic.
That's all I've been
And I don't
saying.
think that you ever have to lower your standards ever. And if you find yourself lowering your standards, you're not going to be a match for whoever that person is. You just won't be because something isn't there. There's not a connect. And so like, you might not have to lower your standards, but you want to make sure that whatever you do want, you'll be a match for that.
Do you believe that you also have to meet the man standards?
Absolutely. That's what I was just saying. That's kind of what I meant by that is that whatever you want, you've got to make sure that you're going to be a match for that as well. That's you working on yourself. That's making sure that you're adding value to the relationship, right? Yeah. It's not a free ride. It's a partnership, right? So you should both be balancing each other out and adding value. So I don't tell any woman to lower their standards. I'm like, girl, go get it. You want what you want, go get it. If you lower your standards, you're not going to be a match for whatever that person
Which is
is.
why when I tell women, how do I find a man? I'm 36. I've done everything by the book. I've got my career. I've got everything on point. I need a guy who's my equal. And they find that the guys who are their match, their ideal match, don't want to have anything to do with them because now those guys are in a position of sexual selectivity, and they're not selecting those women. They're selecting women who are far younger than those women are, and are more in touch with their feminine, are more nurturing, would make good mothers, and so I'm dealing, and maybe you guys will see this as well at some point, dealing with a generation of women because if I say get in touch with your feminine, I just said it sounds like I'm saying dumb yourself down. It also sounds like I'm saying compromise, go for the good enough guy. And right now, that's like the cardinal sin in girl world is to tell a woman that she needs to settle for less than because hypergamy doesn't work that way. It's like it doesn't seek its own level. It's always looking for the bigger and better deal. So not only does it go against women's innate nature, it also goes against the cultural narrative, which is you're a queen. Go get what you can get. You go, girl, kind of thing. Yeah. And if
you go, girl.
At least as far as my understanding. So here's my take on this. My observations on this is that the reason why we have such a low divorce rate is because we have such a low marriage rate right now. And the reason why we have such a low marriage rate is not because men aren't taking responsibility. It's because we have these unrealistic ideas of what is going to be the ideal mate for us and what is not. And so when we have these, nothing better than Brad Pitt or Justin Waller will do. And so therefore, if I can't have that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to schedule my life and mold my life and create my life to the point where I am the man that I wanted to marry in the first place, because that guy's not forthcoming, but I still need long-term security. How am I going to get that? I'm either going to get that from the state, or I'm going to get that from outside influences, or I'm going to be able to do it myself, which means I got to start my own business. I got to have my Instagram on point. It's the funnel marketing kind of thing. And so the aspect of long-term security is no longer something that you go and look for in a partner. You look for it in yourself. And as a result, we see more and more women being not married.
You're talking about dudes having their Instagram on point, right?
And for women too.
You look confused. No, actually, you don't have to have any. Neither of you do.
Yeah.
It's so for a dude, again, remember when I talked about those guys you don't even notice?
I notice everybody, number one. But you talking about somebody that I'm interested in?
As a guy, the scale, like the idea right now, the guys who are doing well on social media have such an unfucking believable advantage against the guys who aren't. It's like, it's 10 million to 1. It is ridiculous. And I've seen it because I've been on both ends of it, and I've seen it because I've had 500 clients come through my program. And when they go from just being this guy who has these weird photos where they look like a fucking child molester, where they're sitting there with a flannel shirt on at a college football game, and it's
I noticed them too.
A blurry.
Swipe.
You're all about that.
Block. No, I'm like,
Swipe right. Yeah.
no. No, I'm talking about Instagram.
Yeah, but
creepy profile.
But when you see when you see those creepy profiles, like for guys, I feel like absolutely right now, not for a guy to do well, to have any chance whatsoever, he has to have an online profile that makes him look viable, that makes him look relevant.
I can understand.
Right. I think it's way more important for men and extremely important for average men to be able to do that. And if they don't do that, they're just left behind. I think now, and I think it's going to get worse and worse and worse.
Will escalate.
It will escalate because what's the delta will escalate. So for instance, like when I was, growing up, I'd say when I was in college in the late 90s, if I had a decent car and a guy had like a Lamborghini, he would have like, let's just say a 50% advantage over me. Well, now we put that those two cars against each other on social media, or my physique versus his physique or whatever. That advantage I have is now multiplied. It's exponential because of social media, because of the scalability of social media. And the other thing that happened was, and this was a big deal, was that girls, like you guys, remember, you're from Illinois, you're from Kansas, like the pretty girls, when they turn 18, they do not stay in Waco or Wichita anymore. They don't stay in Des Moines. They don't stay in Cheyenne anymore. They leave and they move to Chicago and Los Angeles.
Brickell.
They move to Brickell. That's the thing that's happened. And the reason why they know they can move down there, why is it they end up at Tyga's fucking video shoot? No. It's
fish where the fish are.
Hold on. Specifically, it's because someone snuck in their DM. How did they end up at the Maxim party or in the Playboy Mansion? How was it that they ended up at the Ignite party? It's because somebody literally snuck in their DM. That's the difference that's happened. And what's happened is, like I've said this before, high status men normally distribute. High status women do not. There is a top cardiologist in Waco, in Waco, Texas. There is a high-end personal injury attorney that lives in Wichita, Kansas. There is a guy there in Des Moines, Iowa right now who's an ophthalmologist who makes $300,000 a year. High status men normally distribute. High status women do not. They're going to go to places where it's going to be easier for them. They're going to go to Brickell, like you said before. If I want to be a model, there's a reason you don't live in Secaucus, New Jersey right now. There's a reason you guys live in Las Vegas, or you want to be a model and you move to New York. There's a reason why you go to Swim Week in Miami, or you go to the Met Gala, or you go to Fashion Week. Those things with really attractive women, they do not normally distribute. They go to certain spots, they go to certain places, and social media actually makes that difference, makes that delta even greater.
Kyle, Travis, can you put up that image of the soccer players that I gave you? Do you have that? There you go. Okay. I love this. So superimpose that. That's good. So these are soccer players. Forgive me, I'm not a big soccer fan. I can only recognize one of those.
Ronaldo.
I think. Is he on? Is Ronaldo on?
I don't think Ronaldo's on.
No.
Cristiano.
Cristiano. Okay, so he's the one I recognize. So on the left hand side is the players. Instagram of the same vacation that they're very attractive women that these guys are the apex. They're at the top of their game right now. This is the difference between the players' Instagram and their girlfriend's Instagram.
Well, you know why? Because if the girl started posting all of the relationship photos, it would be like, oh my God, she's only with him for money. Oh my God, she's only about her man. Oh my God, she doesn't do anything else but talk about whoever. That's why.
I mean, I've seen Cristiano's wife's Instagram, and she posts the family photos too, but I think they're he's honestly, since he married her, he's been trying to maximize her and blow her up to make her something bigger than what she was, because he found her in a store. She was a sales girl in a store,
and that's probably
in
feeds
Madrid.
into what I just said
but
too.
I mean, she does post family.
What I'm saying is that it's.
But that's not what they notice.
I was gonna say there's a marked difference between.
Totally.
So are you guys familiar with the concept? Are you familiar with the soft launch? You know what a soft launch is?
No.
Oh, like the hidden.
Yes. So it's like when Instagram girls are on Instagram and they got a new boyfriend, they show the hand or the legs.
Oh, I love a soft launch.
Dude, let me tell you something. I'm the soft launch dude. When my homegirls, they going through like some trouble or whatever, we'll go to Mastro's and just see my fucking hand. I'm the dude doing it. I am petty as my name is Petty White. I am a petty motherfucker. I do that shit all the time.
I love a soft launch.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do.
Why is that a thing? Why do women not want to show that dude on their Instagram
Well, for personal
right
reasons.
out the gate?
Okay, I don't know the majority of what other people would say.
Why is it even a thing?
But for personal reasons, because, I don't know why I'm migrating.
Bring it over here.
I have to pee. That's probably also why. I'm just trying to inch my way out. I think for personal reasons, I wouldn't, because I know I'm so done with getting like in my DMs, woman to woman, I just want to let you know that your man and I, X, Y, and Z. I don't want to know. I saw your man out doing X, Y, and Z. Or, people just know business and throw all of this info your way that you don't need. Like
it's woman to woman if you're a woman. If you're a man, you're a snitch.
Or that. But, there's just always something. So I think privacy is my personal reason as to why I don't do it. I mean, y'all wouldn't have known I had like 3 boyfriends in the last few years. You know what I mean? You wouldn't know that.
If I looked at your Instagram, would I?
There's no soft launch on there.
There's no soft launch.
Not
Is there
even
any pictures of you with one of those boyfriends on there?
Probably, yeah, like an ex, maybe, because it was a sponsored post.
It's so effective.
Because it was a sponsored post.
I've posted
and it was a soft launch sponsored post.
It's so.
He had his head cut off.
I know Jamie.
I know. I was like,
Jamie's with her boyfriend on hers quietly.
I want that.
She's proud of that. She's like, look at this dude.
So badly, I want that.
I mean, I'm pretty open and that's
I am the same way.
Yeah.
The guys
yeah, and to each their own. I mean, I just obviously I don't care. So I put whatever I want out there. In fact, I posted just recently, I lost like 100 followers for doing that.
That's exactly what I was getting at. That's
I lost 100 followers just recently.
The reason why women do soft launches is because they know that their brand will take a hit if they in any way present the idea that they are taken.
So you know what? Let me tell you something.
And you lose 100 followers.
But I don't care.
No,
I don't care.
Yeah, well, look at the dude you're with. Yeah,
but let me tell you something. So I was, I dated the guys that people would assume I would date. I was dating an NFL athlete and whoever else. And then I was over it. And I was like, you know what? Maybe this is not working. I don't know why. Let me date someone, quote unquote, normal. I dated a teacher, dated a firefighter. Posted him, brought him around, my friends and people. He ended up being a groupie. So if anything, he was trying to feed off of what I was doing.
Treat her like a celebrity and she'll treat you like a fan.
Oh, and he was the one I posted on my social media.
Bro, you just got him laid. I'm telling you right now. I've been telling my homegirls this all the time.
I called you girl, Michael. I was like, girl.
Yeah, yeah, it's one of these things where it's like, there's one girl I was seeing. She had like more than like 4 million followers. And when I would post her on my shit, it was incredible. I would get girls hitting me up all the time. When she would post me in her story, it was just fucking fire and hate and just whole.
Well, mine was empty for the teacher, but for him, I'm sure it was flooded. Whatever.
I kind of noticed something really interesting about like those pictures that it's like, okay, so these are like the top tier guys. These are like the
Apex alphas.
Yeah, right. And then here they are, like all wifed up, right, with their booze. Like that right there. It like that to me says like, hey, commitment. Hey, like more than sex. Hey, like I'm giving up like all my access to like what I could have, and
all
this
others.
is and so that right there. That right there is like a really good, like, I feel like that's kind of a contradiction to some of the things that you guys are saying.
It's making those men more attractive.
I was going to say, I know that reality.
Okay, so hold on. So they're only doing that because this makes me look attractive because I'm with my hot wife.
Negative. There is no downside for it. That's the point. I have a hot wife, therefore there is no downside. Whenever I post me with a super hot girl, there is no downside for me.
Yeah.
None. It does not.
You don't think that they take a
funnel marketing system for any of those soccer players.
So
for their wives or their girrlfriends?
For the soccer player. For the soccer player. For him.
The soccer player, he like not only because the women will still talk to him. So if a guy,
so what you guys are saying, just so I understand correctly, like, so what you guys are saying that a guy can post a girl, doesn't take a hit.
None.
And so that's
just helps me. When
I think it works the
pre-select.
opposite.
Watch what happens. Even when just like I'm
pre-selection.
just friends with Lindsay Pellis. When Lindsay posts a picture with me and she's got her arm around me, I get a ton of fucking followers. Yeah, it doesn't hurt me at all. Absolutely none. Like, definitely. It's
For women, it's
completely.
a-
I
it's
feel
hit
like
to women's brand.
the way that I would look at that, and again, I'm not a guy, but the way that I would look at that is I would feel like that, like if I'm operating under that kind of evolutionary psychology mindset, I would feel like that would be a disadvantage if I use that theory. That would take
If you're
me
a man
off
or a
the-
woman, remember,
if
two
I'm
different
a-
things.
I'm looking at it as a man. I'm saying if I use that theory, I would feel like that would take me off the market a little bit.
Now, from my experience, you and I are friends. From my experience, do you think that when I post videos or pictures with me with a girl, you remember my last relationship, do you think more girls messaged me to go out with me or fewer girls messaged
Yeah,
me to go out
but
with me?
you weren't in a commitment though or anything like that.
No, even
you
if
know
I was in
mean?
a commitment or not a commitment.
Well,
even
I
if-
think that those things factor in. At least in my opinion, they do.
No, as far as a girl, whether or not she would approach, I agree. Some women are like, well, he's married, so I'm not going to go after him.
So that's,
I will tell you,
what I'm
hold on.
saying.
I will tell
gonna
you
do it.
just as many women who are like, I don't care that he's married or I like him more because he's married. But here's the main thing. Even the women who wouldn't go out with me if I was showing that I was married are still more attracted to me because they see me with an attractive woman. There is zero downside.
It's
to
literally
me.
like having a baby
Zero.
in your arms or a puppy. They make
Yep,
it
it's
a
the dog
reason. I've
effect.
seen
There
it.
it
They
is.
make it a reason to walk up to Michael and say, "Oh my God, your girlfriend's so beautiful. Tell me more about her." And they're just like trying to be in his gaze.
Guys, ask me
trying to
that-
connect.
You
like,
have not.
trying-
Well, yes.
Wait, you want to talk about another double
You know?
standard? If you have like a single mother is at a serious disadvantage in the sexual
Poor thing.
marketplace.
Yeah.
A single father is at an advantage in the sexual marketplace
Yeah.
because it's proof of concept. Somebody approved of him and he's got the baby and maybe he's a widower or maybe
There's nothing better than a good father.
There's a guy like seriously. Well, you want to know why I hate to even use this analogy. You want to know why The Mandalorian was so freaking
better
great a show?
say it
Why,
with your chest.
why it was one of the best things that Disney has done.
Orphan baby.
The baby. They don't want a strong, powerful, like Jedi Rey, female.
Who cares?
They want Baby Yoda. That's what they want. And so it's like that proof of, it's like having that guy who is, he's proven that he can be a good father. Oh boy, man, and he's hot and he's on his game. Yeah, okay. And he can wield a lightsaber. Okay, fine.
That's a perk.
He's a protector.
Yes.
All of it. He has a deep voice, and then he
Yes.
he
It's
cares for the
parental
baby.
investment.
Everybody thought that Pedro Pascal was so attractive after that shit. Of course.
I'm sure it was. But as far as like the soft launch thing is what I was getting at, and we can finish up after this. But like the idea is that women will take a hit to their brand if they don't put forth the idea that they are single all the time. So when that's why they have a soft launch. That's why there is, I'm going to ease my way into it because I think on some level of consciousness, like women understand that they're going to take a hit to their
Do the
to their
everyday
brand.
woman? Do everyday women do that as well? Do you see, or is it more so for
Women that are certainly women
more
that are
social-
in I've argued this, and this is in my fifth book, Player's Handbook, is everything is brand management. As Jason Hartman was saying, it's like Instagram is funnel marketing for women in the sexual marketplace, which is an economy. So one of the reasons why women are so hesitant to put pictures of other guys on their Instagram is because they know that they will destroy the perception of attainability. I might be able to get this girl,
or
she
a
seems
low
like she's
body
single.
count. They're literally
Or a
seeing
lower body count.
seeing the
Yes.
body count on
Right
the
then
thing.
and there.
Like for me,
Ooh,
having
I never thought of that.
having a high body count does not disqualify me from you saying some women. Introduce me to these women because I haven't met them.
Or single mothers who
yeah.
don't show their children in their Instagram.
For sure.
Because they know that is a disadvantage.
I
It's
would
very
say
similar
right
to
now,
that.
I know my ex literally never posted me once because it was going to mess up what he had going on.
Because he didn't know what he was doing. Like, honestly, if he had posted,
Is that the one that cheated on you?
Yeah, more women would have.
Prosecution rests, Your Honor.
More women would have come after. More women would have come after him had he done it. He just didn't know what he was doing.
I've posted all my boyfriends, and I don't do any soft launch.
Let me ask you something. When you post your boyfriend,
don't post them, it's
when you
because
post
he's
your
not
boyfriends,
posting me.
do you
Yeah.
notice any difference in your interaction when you do post your boyfriend?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah,
Nobody,
it's bad. Yeah.
Nobody cares. Same as when I used to post my family and my dogs and food.
Mm-hmm.
Show us your tits. We don't care about your
Whore, show me your checks. No one cares.
But I was going to say, is that especially in the global sexual marketplace, and which, like I said, it is an economy. you lose brand capital. Women, anyways, lose brand capital the moment that they present the idea that they might not be single. And so, like, you got, like, I can also use the example of Ayesha Curry, Steph Curry's wife. She has been on the Red Table Talk with Jada Pinkett Smith talking about how she wants to keep her Instagram and how she wants to look hot and sexy for other guys and be cute and everything. Like, you are with like a Hall of Fame, you know,
honestly,
NBA
when she said
player.
that, I cringed a little, but I understood what she was trying to say. You know, she's just being honest, but I did cringe a little bit.
Right?
Yeah.
You just used what is it? Was Ciara and Russell Wilson? The other
funniest shit ever.
What's funny about it, you guys?
Because man, she's like she had a baby with Future. She didn't have a baby.
Yeah, in her whole phase.
She didn't have a baby with a rapper. She had a baby with like the fucking priest from the fucking from the Church of Misogyny. Dude, are you kidding me? She had a baby with Future.
Ruined.
Like, I'm not saying. By the way, I'm not saying she's ruined. I'm saying she had to find a guy who's basically ASD to marry. Have you heard the shit that Russell Wilson's been doing? What? He does high knee exercises, going up and down the aisle. Dude, the guy, his teammates do not like him because he comes off as incredibly disingenuous. And I'm just telling you, man. Like, she had to find a sucker. That's all I'm saying.
I don't think he's a sucker at all. He's like a major football star. Like, that guy's not a sucker.
I think he's been that way since day one.
He's a major football star. I don't know about that.
That's like us dating, some fuckboys and then getting our sense at the same time he was,
I don't think that she's like looking at him trying to like level up. Sorry, no pun intended.
Every time I've been critical of guys who are like,
I'm glad somebody got it. I was like, oh yeah.
Every time I'm critical of guys like, say, Russell, I've mentioned Russell Wilson on a few podcasts. Every time I'm critical of a guy who is clearly a quote unquote alpha male, and I say, he's blue pill alpha. Look at what he's doing. He's definitely, desire. I mean, he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. Don't get me wrong, okay? Does that?
I don't know about Hall of Fame.
Well, okay. Look at Jeff Bezos, for example, the richest guy in the world.
Say
okay,
Tom Brady. Can
you could say, well, he's got all this money, so therefore he must be alpha. Tom Brady, right? Like he must be alpha. I can't really make a call on Tom just yet, but I can on Russell Wilson because he's what I call a blue pill alpha. He's naturally, innately an alpha guy because he's a football, what he does for a living. So for me to say, he's kind of blue pill, he's kind of a chump when it comes to, he's a simp for Ciara. People go, hey, he's a quarterback, he's an MVP player, or even Prince Harry. Prince Harry's like, they're like, he flew helicopters and he's been from the man
because he brings flowers.
He's a simp
because he's like emotionally connected and all about her. Like, what makes him a simp? Like, I just don't understand. I'll take a simp any day. Yeah.
Prioritizes family, faith,
and football. I'm just saying,
Tom Brady.
The surest way to turn a woman off is to go beta and turn her into
I know that's right. Listen, if we have to play it, y'all have to play it too. Finesse it.
All I'm saying is, let's just watch when he gets cut from Denver in the next year, and then Ciara's just all of a sudden now she's dating fucking Gucci. When she's dating
Look
Gucci
what happened to Tom Brady, man.
All right, so let's talk about this because we kind of got to wrap this up. Right. So let's talk about the elephant in the room, the 12-pound elephant in the room, Tom Brady, who they officially filed for divorce. The reason why
I just found out about that today.
People keep talking about he's skinny. And by the way, just for those of you who don't know, when you take HGH, it makes you very skinny. It burns off all the fat on your body. And I will not listen to anyone tell me that Tom Brady is not on HGH because he is.
No, can I get some of that?
100. Okay, I'm sorry. Oh, he can
burns
throw
off all the fat off your body. Jeez.
Oh, it must be because he's vegan.
Sounds like a dream.
Yeah, he's just chucking the ball 75 yards now because he's that must be what it is. All right, so here's the thing with the Tom Brady situation. So we talked about this on the last one. Tom Brady is 60 days older than me. I want to work. I still want to go. I go to work every day. I like going to work.
Right.
If my wife told me, hey man, you know what? You can't. You're only making $44 million a year. You got to stop working. You're washed up. It's time for you to stop doing this. And then you go to work and then you end up winning a Super Bowl. My whole thing is, I think part of the reason they're getting divorced or they got divorced.
Oh, you got another one of those little rings again.
I think the reason why they got divorced is because she doubted him and he went and fucking won another Super Bowl. I think that actually made things worse in the relationship. I think
that's a big assumption.
I think it made things worse. And then the next year she she was like, you need to retire. He goes and retires. He comes back, and then he leads the league in passing yards. I think what happened from her standpoint was she's like, you're done. You need to be done with this and come raise these kids. He's 44 years old at this point. He's like, you need to come raise these kids. And he's like, no, I want to go back and try this one more time. No, Tom, you're too old to be doing this. You're done. And by the way, she's Brazilian. She's probably used to football players who don't make it to 44. Football, soccer players. And then here, Tom Brady, who's playing at the high, he is by
MVP.
far the highest level person. Like George Blanda, who was a good player in
Hall
his
of
40s,
Fame
was not as good as Tom. Tom Brady's career, just since he's 40, would put him in the Hall of Fame. Just since he turned 40 in the last 5 years.
So why not go be a commentator? Why not go contribute some other way? Why go back on your...
Hold on. She would leave him if he wanted to be a commentator. She wants to take him and the kids to Central America. That's the whole thing that's going on here. So my point is this, like, he still wants to work, and she's like, well, no, I don't want you to work anymore. I think this is crazy. To me, this is absolutely bonkers that it is so unfair from my standpoint as a man, thinking I'm not allowed to work and I'm not good at my job.
Didn't he retire, then go back and not tell her?
Twice. No. He retired twice. It is not that
last time he retired, last week, and then came back this week?
He left for 11 days and talked to his wife about it. He certainly did tell her, and then she filed for divorce after he came back to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Right. So how many times do you have to go back on your word in a real way? It's different.
How many times do you have to give your word because your wife doesn't want you to do what you're great at?
What if your son says, Dad, I want you home. I want you at my soccer game.
Now that's conjecture. And here's the other thing. How many 45-year-old men work for a living? And they work way more hours than he does playing quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's not an 80-hour a week
I think
job.
that there's a story here that we don't actually really know. We don't actually really know why they're getting divorced. We don't actually know what the conflict is. Like, just a lot of assumptions.
Well, we do know it has to do with him not retiring.
Is that kind of, because I just found out about it today. Is that something that came out where like she had like a complaint against that, and it was like pretty public?
She wanted him to retire at 43. He did not retire. She wanted him to retire at 44. By the way, in both cases, he did retire and then came out of retirement. And now at 45, he's come back. And then when he goes to training camp, then there's an 11-day break where he leaves, gets into a huge fight with her, comes back, and that's when he has the famous saying that I posted. I got a lot of shit. I'm 45 years old. I got a lot of shit going on. That's what he said. And when he does that, and then all of a sudden she files for divorce after that. I think it was, not even 6 months ago.
I love how Gronk follows him everywhere he goes.
Yeah,
it's the frat boy thing. It's going on.
It's pretty funny. Yeah. The point is like, I believe that he has the right to continue to make a living at 45. He's not 65
there
years old.
There must be something we don't know for someone,
especially
with two young children.
I think competition.
I think she wants all the power.
I don't think it's that black and white.
Sean St. George says this. He's like, it's competition. That's why Brady keeps playing. It's like, what else is he going to do? Maybe he doesn't want to be there's a qualifiable difference between winning Super Bowl after Super Bowl in not just the Patriots, but also Tampa Bay as well, and going and doing commentary and talking about the game that you would 100%. Rather be playing.
No, I disagree. I think if he goes and does commentary, she still leaves him. I think she still leaves him. I don't think it's a function of.
Oh no, it's a clash of egos, is what it is.
The number one supermodel, highest paid supermodel in the world.
She makes more money than he does,
and then him.
Yeah. As a commentator, he would probably pass her.
In that capacity.
The deal they had offered him, he was going to make more money not make more money, but over in total, I think her net worth is $600 million, and he made $250 million playing football. He would eventually pass her. That's essentially what would happen. Like
this is pure American drama. No soccer player gets this kind of drama. They all are happily married with beautiful wives and kids. I don't know.
And some mistresses, honey, don't we know it?
I'm not so sure about that.
He hasn't gone off and embarrassed her. Like, he is incredibly good at what he does. And I got news for you guys. If Tom Brady 10 years from now runs for president, he'll win. That's the thing. That's who you're dating. That's who you have. You are dating Superman. So now you have a decision to make.
But what about him? He's married to Gisele Bundchen. What about him? What about her career? What about all of the things?
What about her career? That's not a factor.
I agree with him on this. I think he could still play football.
I totally agree with. I agree with that.
You make time for your family.
Hold on. If I married either one of you guys, please understand. I have a
you
really.
Can play football,
I have a really. No, not play football. I have a good job. I like my job. I like to work. I like to be productive. I like this business that I'm building. I like the fact that I'm taking people who work for me and getting them.
So when they say that we grew apart, what does that normally mean?
I think it was about him being his age and still playing football because it's a dangerous sport. No,
I honestly I really don't know. I just literally learned about it today. Like if I actually like kind of digged at it a little bit, I might have a better again a lot of speculation.
They both posted.
What time is it right now?
They both posted statements.
You.
If you guys, did you guys see their statements?
Yeah, I did.
Yes.
Yeah.
How she was like she never. Well, she called him. Well, he was saying my wife. She was saying Tom for everything.
Yeah. That's language is important.
It is, right? So that's why.
Let me make another prediction. When this is over, things are going to go in one direction for Tom and a different direction for Giselle. I'm just going to make that.
I got a $20 super chat here. Technological chaos. It's, Tom Brady's wife eventually came to terms that Tom Brady is just a hyper ambitious guy she will never tame. Tom is doing what a man naturally is doing, which is sticking to his guns and never quitting. You can't change a man.
I think it's just a lot of projection, man. like I keep hearing this narrative that like she didn't want him to play or that she's upset at his career.
That part is true. That part is irrefutable.
Fine. But like, this is not some negative, angry woman kind of like coming against him. Like she's been in this with him and supported him throughout, like, God knows how long has he done this. And
13 years.
Okay, fine. And so now let's just say like she might be like, you know what, I really want you to be home with us and the family, and they have probably talked about this, and maybe he has moved the goalpost. It sounds like he has moved the goalpost on her. We're not really giving that much attention. We're just kind of blaming her and being like, oh, she's not being supportive and wants to, put him down and put his career down. And it's like, well, like, how, is he supporting her? Like, I mean, I know we're not supposed to compare or something like that, but I have to kind of like look at something like that.
Him playing quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, she can still sell the makeup line, and I think she has a clothing line.
It's not about that. It's about the way she's being presented. It's about the way that she's being presented as unsupportive and negative and not happy for him. That's the part that I have a problem with, and that's the part that I think a lot of people are speculating.
Yeah, I don't think that's speculation.
Said it right that time.
Yeah, I don't think they're speculating. I think it's pretty undeniable that she does not want him to play football.
Look, I'm not saying that she doesn't want him to play. What I'm talking about is her attitude and the way she's being characterized. Not necessarily that's what I'm talking about. It's the fact that she's not being supportive. It's like, well, that's bullshit. She supported his career for God knows how long. Okay, so maybe now she doesn't want him to do it. But does that mean she's just like this kind of like angry, upset woman against his career? No, that's not like, and that is what I'm hearing from some of that commentary.
I don't know about her being angry and upset. I do know that she wanted to divorce him. I know that she wanted to divorce a 45-year-old man.
It sounds like she's being framed in a way where she's not being supportive, and that to me is, I feel like that's unfair. I feel like that's a major assumption. I think that there are a lot of assumptions being made about her attitude and her role in it.
When both Tom and Giselle are making the kind of money they're making and have been for quite some time, what does supportive look like at that point?
Home.
Well, I think
how much more support does he have to like?
It's not about him supporting her. Like it's not about that. It's about that she's being framed in a way where she's not being supportive of his career because he wants to go off and do this, and she wants him to stay home. She's being framed as a way as her not being supportive.
Do you think that the divorce has anything to do with him wanting to continue to play football?
I don't know enough about it, and that's why I'm not. That's why I'm not commenting on that part.
That's irrefutable. Yes, it definitely does. Yeah.
Fair enough. I don't really know enough about, like, I don't want to comment on it if I don't personally have the knowledge of it. Okay. What I am aware of is what you got,
She is the one that filed. So let's just.
So fair enough. So she's not happy with some of these things. So fine, whatever. Like, that's not what I'm really trying to hit.
Yeah, I'm not saying she's holding like the frying pan in the air, like, Tom, come back here so I can hit you. That's not what he's saying. What I am saying is that I think it's very, very, like, within extreme levels of reasonable behavior for a 45-year-old man who makes $40 million a year to continue to work.
I'm not talking about him or what he decided to do. I'm not talking about that at all.
And she does not believe that's within reasonable behavior, so she has divorced him.
How do you know that?
Maybe because they talked about it and agreed upon something, especially if this is his second time trying to retire, and the second time he came back from retirement, didn't really tell her.
Yeah, and what if they had a commitment? What if he had committed her?
That's what I feel like it
what
has to.
What if he was like, you know what, I'm going to stay home, and then does that, and then she finds out this way, and she's like, oh, fuck it, okay. And then she works with him through that, and then he does it again.
They're not the priority. His family football's priority.
And then she's just like, you know what? I'm not going to do this anymore. And then she's not supportive. Like, get the fuck out of here.
She's not the priority. Why would she be supportive any further?
His legacy is the priority.
That is true.
It's true. But like, my God, it can end here, but it doesn't have to.
She can continue.
There's another dynamic at play that we're not hearing about.
She can continue to chase her pursuits, and he can't. That's what's different. You cannot.
But she hasn't in 13 years. What's the last project that Giselle has done in a big way?
Giselle has makeup and clothing lines. She's just because she's not.
Because that's what a stay-at-home mom does when you have that kind of money and fame, you know.
But what I'm saying is, it inherently is not the same thing when he does not stop her from pursuing her designs, and she has stopped him. Here's the other thing. When he is 65 years old, guess what he can't do? Yeah. He cannot play quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But he can do this today. And he's not kind of good at it. Now, obviously, in the last couple of weeks, he's been terrible. But when the season started, he is terrific at his job. And that's the only thing I'm saying. For what their decisions were about this thing, I do think it's a little bit unfair where she can choose to chase her designs on life, and he cannot choose to chase his. And he has a finite career, and she can continue to sell clothing, she can continue to sell makeup, and she can continue to model. He has not stepped in the way of her doing that at all.
So Jamie,
I feel like he went back on his word.
Are they weren't an ideal match? Is that what we're getting here? He picked the wrong girl. Is that what happened inside?
No, not necessarily. Like, no, not necessarily. Like, what I'm saying is that that's why most relationships fail. Okay, like it is, and I'm not like changing my opinion on that. Like, I feel like most people do really pick the wrong person. Now, sometimes in relationships you might find an equal match, right? Let's say that they would be a pretty equal match, right? That doesn't necessarily mean it was the right person, though. It doesn't necessarily mean it was the right person. Now, objectively, you could look at that and be like, yeah, like tick, 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 tick. But I don't know the inner workings of that relationship. I don't know what the insights were. Like, a lot of women like still choose, like, it looks right, and a lot of women marry right, and men do the same thing, but it doesn't mean it is right. Like, so yeah, like, I'm still going to kind of go with what I was saying earlier. Yeah, but there is this other thing that can happen as well. And sometimes people do change in relationships, okay? And that does change the course of the outcome of that relationship. And that's not something you're necessarily going to be able to see ahead of time.
See, here's what I think is happening, because it's the same effect it's a follow-on effect, anyways, of the same dynamic that happened with Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. Okay, when they first got, by the way, I was covering that since 2014, like before they got married, and I can remember a time where women were just demonizing Johnny Depp, saying he's a monster, he's an asshole. And when the divorce was going down, that was our opinion, that he couldn't get work, he couldn't be Jack Sparrow anymore. And then suddenly, after we have the civil suit and the defamation suit, now it comes to light that, well, actually, he's really kind of a blue pill alpha. He's just sort of a chump who happened to believe in be very like emotionalist, let's just say. But we wanted to take Amber Heard. In fact, some people are still taking Amber Heard's side.
Well, there was a civil court in the UK that found in her favor and basically just stated that he beat her with no evidence. They found him guilty. That's essentially what happened, and it was incredible. I'll show you news articles from ABC Australia where they were like, I can't believe anyone would ever support what's his name? What can't I remember?
Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp. And then the trial comes out and he mollywops her. Turns out none of it was true.
So the reason I'm bringing this up is because we tend to when we look at situations like this, we look at it from a female specific perspective right away. It's the same thing that happened when Jeff Bezos and Mackenzie Bezos got divorced. The first thing out of any woman's mouth was, well, she deserves that money, whatever she's going to get. They didn't even know what the settlement was going to be at that time. It was $33 billion. And of course, Jeff Bezos was like, all right, here you go. Right. 33 billion with a B, billion dollars. And she became the 5th richest woman in the world as a result of that divorce. The reason why women wanted to say, well, she deserves that because she was there from the beginning and she helped him get Amazon off the ground and blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, if she were to take all of her holdings and all the money that she has and all of the equity that she had in Amazon and pulled it out of Amazon, it would in no way amount to $33 billion. That is a divorce settlement. So the first thing we think of is, well, she deserves it. She went through hell. There must have been some reason why she filed for divorce. 70 to 80% of divorces are filed by women. There is a reason for that. And of course, the first thing out of any woman's mouth is, well, the guy must have been a dick. There must have been something that was wrong with him. There must have been some abuse. He must not have held up his end of the bargain, whatever else, when in fact, statistically, most marriages don't last longer than 5. If they're going to get divorced, it usually ends between 5 and 9 years. And usually, as I said before, between the ages of like 29 and with average age of first marriage for men is like about 30 years old. For women, it's about 28. Just enough time to squeeze out a baby and get back into the sexual market once again. And we see that across the board historically since 1960. It has always been that as a schema, let's just say. So when I'm bringing this back to Tom and Giselle right now, there are probably reasons behind all of this, but I think that they're a lot more visceral and probably less to do with like emotions and less to do with like, I think it's more logistical reasons. I think it's more pragmatic, practical reasons on her part, because she's at the point right now where he's probably going to retire. I don't know when he's going to retire. He might not make it through this whole year. He might not make it through this whole year. He might even not be able to play. So now's the time to go. And if you go and you look at marriages in the NFL and in professional sports, usually when that guy retires, that's when they go through their first divorce right there.
Listen, I'm saying, what I'm saying is if we're married and I cheat on you, you want to leave me, I understand. If I hit you, for sure, leave me. If I do some other crazy shit, leave me. If I end up going to jail, I get it, leave me. If I end up throwing 49 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, just give me a shot. Yep. That's all I'm saying. Just let me throw some more touchdowns. That's all I'm saying.
That's like Brett Favre kept trying to go back into, like, he couldn't give it up. Like, and that, I mean, again, another Hall of Fame quarterback. And probably should have retired at Green Bay, but kept going back to it because he wanted that last ring. He wanted to be competitive. He doesn't know anything but football in his entire life. You know, that's it. Let me read these real quick, and then we'll get out of here. Technological Chaos is trying to change Tom or hyper-ambitious persons to change core personality is like trying to convince a bear to change its pursuit to hunt. Lesson for all people: let's stop trying to pursue re-engineering people. That reminds me of a quote, and I want to say it's not Aristotle, it's Aristophanes or something. It's like the wisest of men will not. The wisest of men know not to teach a crab to teach a crab to walk straight.
I don't know where that's coming.
Because that's the nature of the animal. Terrell says Leonardo DiCaprio is Giselle's alpha, not Brady. Very funny.
Maybe.
I doubt it.
I mean, but just imagine what it was like.
He is single now.
Time out. What do you think it was like for Giselle when she wasn't that famous?
Guys, I'm gonna have to wrap up. Yeah. I'm so tired.
Yeah. We'll kill it. Right?
Okay. Well, what do you think it was like for Giselle though? For real, like, imagine you're not that famous and you are dating Leonardo DiCaprio. I know we joke about it now, but it probably was a pretty big imprint on her life. I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying? Anyway.
Right all right. Anyway, so let's wrap. We're good.
Where can we find more of you? And when are you going to start your goddamn podcast so I can watch it every day?
I know. Yeah. I need to start. Hey, if there's anybody that wants to sponsor my podcast, please, hit me up.
Everyone in the chat.
They're all in the chat right now.
Yes.
Let me know. So you can find me on Instagram at Jamie Lynn. So JAMIE_Lynn, LYNN, and for hi. I don't know. Technology, not my thing. 4_. So that's where you can find me. And yeah, I'd love to start my own podcast. So, sponsor me, guys.
Get it going. I see you, Brian Atalis, from whatever podcast. And in my podcast, I recognize you. There's the attention you wanted. We'll talk.
Miss Nevada, where can we find you?
Instagram at Tiana Tuomoheloa. I mentioned this yesterday on Michael's whole thing that I will be doing YouTube again. So just kind of look forward to all of that.
Jose says he will fund your OnlyFans.
Oh, how stupid is that?
Yeah, they're so supportive.
You know what?
And my Cash App and my Venmo are in my link. You guys want to talk shit about us girls up here.
It's funny. It's funny when you get comments like that, how they still try to degrade you, and it's just like,
it's like fucking
it's so
send the money.
Sad.
Then.
It's like, you know what? Like you're Mr. Invisible.
80%ers.
Yeah,
that's right.
Look at
Steph,
you.
Steph, where can we find
5
you?
minutes of fame.
Steph,
not that anybody in the chat cares.
Oh, they do. They love you the most in the chat.
Like,
Yes.
who's a depressed blonde?
They want to marry you.
She's never going to be married. I'm great.
Just tell them where to follow you.
It's on the screen. It's Steph Cook.
Steph, you would make a good mother.
I honestly,
get that
that's
vibe.
the number one thing that I know I would be amazing at. I've been raising kids since I was 15. So.
Hey, listen, rather than yell at you, which is what I did last time because shit pissed me off, I'm going to say this to you guys. So you guys can find me on Instagram at Michael Sartain. So what I need you to do is all of you who are talking shit about these girls, that's fine. You guys want to do this, free country. I need you to go ahead and message me on IG and then show me the girls you are dating that are so much better than these girls. I'd like
Someone
to see
said
that.
Tiana's hot, but she's run through. Let me see who you're dating right now.
Yeah, so that's what I'd like you guys to do. Hey, in all seriousness, so go ahead and message me and then let me see all the insanely hot women that you guys are dating
I
that
saw
are so
that.
much better than
I
me.
saw
So
that
let's
chat.
just see
The
how it
guy's
works
like,
out for you, okay?
none of these girls are above a 5. I'm like, okay, show me a 6.
Let me show. No, hold on. Don't show me 6. Show me your 6, pimp. Let me see your 6. Let's do that.
That's where he's going to go on Instagram and screenshot somebody and be like, this is the girl.
For sure. All of a sudden,
She's in a group photo in the back, a little
Caitlin
blurred.
Wrong. Here's what I'm
Side
dating.
profile.
It'd be so funny if one of you guys was hitting me up saying you were dating Caitlin Rugg. I would laugh my
that
fucking
would be
ass
funny as
off.
hell.
I've actually had somebody do that before. Like, oh, you're dating Caitlin Rugg.
I'm
Interesting.
dating Morgan Fairchild. Okay.
Good times.
Where can they find you? I don't know.
Yeah,
if
we
you
just
said
said
I
Steph.
I'll say
you
it
got,
again.
you're good.
Steph Cook.
There you go. By the way, all of the lovely ladies, their Instagram and their connections is in the description below, so you can go get that. Also, Men of Action, if you want to be a part of the community, my link is in my stream here. I know you were simulcasting to yours as well. Do go and check that out. And then, of course, you can always find me, Rollo Tomasi. I am Rollo Tomasi at Rational Mail on Twitter, which is now free Twitter. We can say whatever the fuck we want. And then you can also find me on this channel every Sunday, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. That's when I do my long form shows. Rule Zero is still a thing. I know John from Modern Life Dating announced that he's no longer going to be part of it. Really, that's more due to logistics than anything else. So don't think there's anything going on behind the scenes. It's just like people have lives and people come and go. So that's still going on Saturday at 11:30 a.m. I think John Fitch is the one who's going to be hosting for tomorrow. Look for some changes in Rule Zero as well. And after that, you can find all of my books on Amazon.com. Just go look up The Rational Mail on Amazon. You'll find all 5 of them right now. So.
You better flex. I know that's right.
There you go.
I would love to hear what you
author.
guys thought about the Rational Mail. I legitimately would love to hear if you guys read the book. And,
Is it? Do you have an audiobook? Will I hear
Yes,
your?
I do.
Hey, and I would love if you let me read the next
No one
audiobook.
reads books anymore. They only listen.
They listen.
No,
I read books. I prefer hard copy.
I can't do the listening. I'll order the book.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
Because you'll be highlighting parts of it and going, "This son of a bitch." Next time I see him.
I wonder what his daughter thinks about this.
Let me narrate the next audiobook. I'll be so happy.
I should let you
Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for coming and checking us
Thank
out.
you.
We will see you guys all pretty soon. We'll come back in probably 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks, I believe we'll have. And we did not have Torsha with us this time. She's usually helping us out, but I think we'll have her for the next go around.
Beautiful, awesome. For those of you who are interested, we are hosting Babes in Toyland December 1st. If you guys want to help us raise money, we are actually getting toys to the Midnight Mission. It's a homeless shelter that's been around for 100 years, and it's going to be a bunch of female influencers that you guys can denigrate if you need to. That we're going to be bringing toys. This is going to be in Los Angeles. You guys go to Babes in Toyland Charity if you guys want to check that out. I'm also going to be hosting the Teddy Ball, which is going to be November 26th in San Diego, California. We're actually getting stuffed animals and we're giving those to homeless children. So if you guys want to come check that out, that'd be terrific. And also on December 7th, I am hosting a charity event for DJ Irie in Miami, Florida. And you guys check that out as well. So you guys look that up. It's also all going to be on my Instagram. And we will see you guys all next week.
Peace.
Thanks, players.
Save old shit, huh? Rollo call up, he tell us to come through, so we fly out to Vegas. Save all the names so you hear the lot, bitch, just wait till we famous. Me and my brothers, you know we the best and you know we the greatest. Tell me what pill that you bout to go cop, red or blue, I know which one you taking. Rollo call up, he tell us to come through, so we fly out to Vegas. Save all the names so you hear the lot, bitch, just wait till we famous. Me and and my brothers, you know we the best and you know we the greatest. Tell me what pill that you gotta go cop red up blue, I know which one you taking. Yeah, I get it, I know what you saying. Bad bitch and that booty amazing. But be careful, pussy could be dangerous. Bitch, you look, you forget what your name is. Now you blind and you left what you came with. Picking nose over fan, that's some lame shit. I won't lie, back then I did the same shit. Until Rolo showed me what the game is. Found us a niche, picking what lane we taking. Savo can get these bitches booty shaking. Money, muscle game, that's what they crave. And they all know the name, born on these stages. When I leave, man, I leave with the bros. Rep Alliance, we stacking the most. And I'm fucking your bitch cause I know she a hoe. And these haters on dick cause I'm chasing my goals. Rolo call up, he tell us to come through, so we fly out to Vegas. Save all the names so you hear the lie, bitch, just wait till we famous. Me and my brothers, you know we the best and you know we the greatest. Tell me what pill that you bout to go cop red or blue, I know which one you taking.
What's up, bitch? How you doing? I'm dripping. Red pill, no, I got the prescription. No stress, bring the bottle, I'm with it. The bro blast of the lions gon' hit it, we on. Louis Vuitton, can't fuck with the duffel, we drop it for fun. Bringing the double, I'm smoking the mark, and I fuck with the youngin' who bodied the song and who bodied the fuck what you saying, you paying for pussy, I'm making the bacon and getting it cooking. I heard what they saying, they can't overlook and they praying to make it. I'm paving the foot and I'm repping the gang, got the merch in the hoodie. The statement we making is all but a duty. I'm nice on the ice and they call me a beauty. I hop on this shit cause I'm truly the one.
Rolo call up, he tell us to come through, so we fly out to Vegas. Save all the names so you hear the lie, bitch, just wait till we famous. Me and my brothers, you know we the best and you know we the greatest. Tell me what pill that you bout to go cop red or blue, I know which one you taking.
Yeah, I'm cooking like Emerald Lagasse. Strip out in Vegas, I'm wearing Versace. Rolling with lions, cause that is my posse. These souls are the same, never will change. Unless they are changing their bodies. I'm with the gang, we with the dotties. Getting some brain, right in the lobby. I'm not a misogynist, I'm an embodiment of stuff in the throat and filling esophagus. Rational male, I'm dripping with confidence. Get it confused and mix it with cockiness. Yeah, I'm all one, it's a red pill. Hoes keeping my bed fill. Hoes keeping my bed fill.
Rolo call up, he tell us to come through, so we fly out to Vegas. Save all the names so you hear the lie, bitch, just wait till we famous. Me and my brothers, you know we the best and you know we the greatest. Tell me what pill that you bout to go cop red or blue, I know which